Chapter 388. A man in his 40s slowly walked onto the stage and exchanged a few words. His gaze slowly scanned the venue. Every time his gaze swept over a direction, it would cause an excited scream. Li Duobao's heart also jumped. Her heart was thumping, and her beautiful big eyes were fixed on John. She didn't notice that Bailey Yun and John had a brief exchange of glances. John smiled and finally his gaze fell on Bailey Yun and Li Duobao. He extended his right hand in their direction. Let's invite Miss and her boyfriend, who are wearing a coat and a white hat, onto the stage. Li Duobao looked in the direction John extended his hand, and quickly looked around. She saw that the people around her were staring at her, and Bailey Yun with envy. Only then did she believe that there was nothing wrong with her ears. They were really lucky to be chosen. She was immersed in great joy and even ignored the way Mr. John addressed Bailey Yun, her boyfriend. "Miss, please come on stage with your boyfriend," the host said with a kind smile. Only then did Li Duobao notice how they addressed her. Her cheeks were burning, and she glanced at Bailey Yun in embarrassment. Bailey Yun smiled comfortingly, held her hand and whispered, "Don't be afraid. I'm here." She wasn't afraid. She was just a little shy. The audience automatically parted to make a path. Bailey Yun held Li Duobao's hand with a calm smile on his face and slowly walked onto the stage. The host smiled and said, "Miss, may I know your surname? I'm lucky to be selected as a guest. Do you have anything you want to say?" Bailey Yun glanced at Li Duobao. He thought she would have stage fright. He was prepared to be a hero and save the damsel in distress. He didn't expect her to be as calm as she was on the plane. Her cheeks were still flushed, but her expression was calm. She held the microphone in her hand and smiled cutely. "My name is Li Duobao. I'm a Chinese. I'm a fan of anime. I'm very grateful to Mr. John for giving me this opportunity. Thank you." "Sir, as Miss Li's boyfriend, what do you think of her hobbies?" The host raised the microphone in front of Bailey Yun. Raising his brows, Bailey Yun humorously replied, "Thank you for your recognition. Actually, I'm not Duobao's boyfriend yet, but I'm working towards that identity. There's an idiom in China called love the house, love the crow. It means that if you love someone, you have to love the crow on her roof as well. I even love the crow on her roof, let alone her interests and hobbies." There were many Chinese in the audience. When they heard his teasing confession, they all cheered and applauded for him. Some people even whistled and shouted in Chinese, "Together, together." Bailey Yun confessed in front of so many people. Li Duobao was so embarrassed that his face turned red, but his heart was as sweet as honey. Although the host didn't understand Chinese, he roughly understood what the audience meant. However, the man who looked like Li Duobao shattered his fantasy. She had a surprised smile on her face as she jogged in front of him. "It's Jushiro Kikata. Bailey Yun, you actually cosplayed as Jushiro Kikata. That's great." Bailey Yun was wearing a black Japanese-style bathrobe. The collar was slightly open, revealing his delicate collarbone and a little bit of his chest. His hairstyle was exactly the same as Jushiro Kikata in the anime. In order to portray his smoking characteristics, Bailey Yun's slender fingers held an electronic cigarette. His eyes were deep, as if he was thinking about an important life question. Bailey Yun's mouth twitched. "Didn't you say that you liked Kagura? Why did you cosplay as a man?" Li Duobao chuckled. "Kagura is only 13 or 14 years old. If I cosplayed as her age, it wouldn't be suitable. Actually, I always wanted to cosplay as a vampire, so I cosplayed as a vampire knight. Isn't it handsome?" Bailey Yun silently cried in his heart. Handsome, very handsome. The feeling of her pretending to be a man was actually quite good. However, he wanted to stand together with her as a man and a woman, not as two men. Ah, bastard. Li Duobao didn't understand the pain and struggle in Bailey Yun's heart at all. She nervously and embarrassedly twisted her fingers. "Bailey Yun, can I hug you?" Bailey Yun was ecstatic, and the knot in his heart was swept away. However, her next sentence made him feel that his life was bleak again. "I really like Jushiro Kikata. You cosplay as if a two-dimensional character came to life in the third dimension." She blinked her wet eyes and said pitifully, "So, can you let me hug you?" Bailey Yun was about to suffer internal injuries. Why was it that when he, a handsome and confident man, stood in front of her. She had never been infatuated with him. When he dressed up as a two-dimensional character, he was able to easily capture her heart. However, seeing that she was hugging his body, Bailey Yun felt a little more comfortable in his heart. He generously opened his arms and said, "Come." Thus, the vampire knight happily threw herself into Jushiro Kikata's arms. If one didn't look carefully, it would be two men hugging each other affectionately. This scene was seen by everyone in the dressing room. Some people kindly jeered, some people found it funny and whistled, and some people quickly took photos of this gay scene with their phones. "Sorry to disturb you." The host's assistant knocked on the door of the dressing room and walked in. His eyes rolled twice on the hugging men, and finally landed on the head. He asked in surprise, "Head Mr. Bailey and Miss Lee, are they not ready yet?" The head laughed out loud and pointed at the men. "They are ready." The assistant was so shocked that his eyeballs almost fell out. Li Duobao raised her head from Bailey Yun's arms, raised her hand, and laughed. "I am Li Duobao. If the two of you are ready, please follow me to the front desk." The assistant coughed. He thought that it was two men, but it turned out that he misunderstood. Under the introduction of the host, the two of them made a grand entrance. What greeted them was the screams of the anime fans. Obviously, their cosplay exceeded the expectations of the anime fans. Bailey Yun wore a black bathrobe and wooden clogs on his feet, revealing a part of his calves. His exquisite and perfect facial features had a cold and elegant seduction. He had half a cigarette in his mouth and his eyes were slightly downcast. When everyone's eyes fell on him, he suddenly raised his eyes and stared fiercely at them. He arrogantly shouted, "I am the deputy head of the Truth Group, Jushiro Kikata." The anime fans screamed wildly, and were so excited that they almost fainted. There was only one voice in the entire venue like thunder. "Jushiro Kikata. Jushiro Kikata. I love you." When Li Duobao came on stage, her role as a vampire knight also attracted crazy cheers. As a stewardess, she was tall to begin with. Coupled with the effect of the stylist's uncanny workmanship, almost no one would suspect that she was a woman just by looking at her appearance. She hid the signature sweet smile on her face, and showed her cold and taciturn side. The loneliness and sadness in her eyes broke the hearts of many women. Someone in the audience shouted, "Julan Shusama and Jushiro Kikata kiss, please applaud." The applause was like thunder and the audience shouted, "Kiss kiss." Beauty novel Xingwu 799. Chapter 389. Li Duobao almost couldn't maintain the indifference on her face. She was so embarrassed that she just wanted to find a hole to hide in. Bailey Yun reached out and hugged her shoulder. He shouted arrogantly, "You bastards, how dare you bully my woman? All of you, go and commit seppuku." Seppuku was a classic line of Jushiro Tokata. The venue was once again in an uproar. At that moment, Li Duobao's heart raced. She looked up at his handsome side profile, and had an indescribable feeling in her heart. She had an impulse to jump into his arms. At that moment, she didn't want to hug Jushiro Tokata, but Bailey Yun himself. The event was finally over. Li Duobao heaved a sigh of relief. She shamelessly asked Bailey Yun to take many photos for her as a souvenir. She also called a staff member and asked him to take a few photos of her and Bailey Yun. She flipped through the photos saved in her phone and laughed foolishly. Bailey Yun leaned in front of her, raised his foxy eyes and smiled slyly. "Am I very handsome?" Li Duobao only stared at the photos and didn't look at him at all. "I'm looking at Jushiro Tokata. He's so handsome." Bailey Yun was very sad. Why? What was so good about that grumpy two-dimensional man? He really wanted to find a place to lick his fur and heal his wounds. Li Duobao stole a glance at a certain someone who seemed to have suffered a terrible blow. She covered her mouth and laughed secretly. After the two of them changed their clothes and removed their makeup, Li Duobao went to the bathroom. When she came out of the bathroom, Li Duobao didn't see Bailey Yun. She thought that maybe he was waiting for her in the hall. When she passed by the corridor, she saw two figures leaning against the railing. One of them was Bailey Yun, whom she was very familiar with. The other person could only be seen from the back, so she didn't know who it was. They were talking, so she didn't want to disturb them. She planned to stay where she was and wait for them to finish talking before going up. However, they were too close. Their conversation still drifted into her ears clearly. Bailey Yin said, "Mr. John, thank you for everything you've done for me." John laughed heartily. "You're welcome. It's our honor that you and Miss Lee are satisfied." Bailey Yin smiled and shook hands with him. "I wish us a pleasant cooperation. I look forward to working with you." The two exchanged a few more pleasantries and ended the conversation. John left in another direction. Li Duobao watched his back disappear into the distance before walking towards Bailey Yin. Bailey Yin heard footsteps and turned around with a warm smile on his face. "It's time for dinner. What do you want to eat?" Li Duobao stared at him with his big black eyes. "You know Mr. John? He was the one who arranged for us to be guests, right?" Bailey Yin rubbed his nose. "You heard everything?" Li Duobao nodded. "Did you guys make some kind of deal? Otherwise, why would he help us?" "Fool, don't overcomplicate things." Bailey Yin smiled dotingly. "He and I are old friends. I asked him to arrange for us to cosplay, and he readily agreed." Li Duobao looked at him suspiciously. "I clearly heard you guys say a pleasant cooperation. John actually runs an anime magazine. I plan to talk to him about the game adaptation rights for anime." Bailey Yin actually lied. They weren't old friends, but he used the game adaptation as a topic to negotiate with John. "Oh, so that's how it is." Li Duobao blinked. Bai Liyun ruffled her hair, his face full of helplessness. Aren't you focusing on the wrong thing? I've spent so much effort. Shouldn't you be touched? Even if you don't faint, you should at least cry a little." Li Duobao burst out laughing. Bailey Yin felt like he was being mocked. He rubbed his nose with his face covered in dirt, and tears flowed silently to his heart. Sigh, who asked him to like a little woman who was lacking in her brain. Seeing him hurt like a cute little fox, Li Duobao covered her mouth and continued to laugh. He helplessly pressed her head. "Let's go and have dinner." She suddenly threw herself into his arms, her soft body leaning against his chest. She wrapped her arms around his waist and said softly, "Let me hug you." Bailey Yin looked at the little woman who was burying her head in his arms like an ostrich. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "I haven't hugged you enough. Jeshuru Dokata has already returned to the 2D world," she said in a muffled voice. "I know. I'm hugging Bailey Yin now." Bailey Yin's face immediately brightened. He couldn't wait to sing a song. He unceremoniously wrapped his arms around her slender waist and smiled happily. "Please don't stand on ceremony. You can hug me as long as you want. Go to hell. Don't take advantage of me." Li Duobao pushed his chest and said with her cheeks puffed up, "I've hugged you enough. Let go of me." Unreasonable little baddie. Although he muttered unhappily, Bailey Yin still let go of her gigai. Li Duobao snickered. Bailey Yin drove her to a Chinese restaurant in Chinatown for dinner. Then, he took her to see the night scenery for a while before sending her back to the hotel. He sent her all the way to the door of her room. Li Duobao took out the room card from her handbag and opened the door. After hesitating for a moment, she said, "Do you want to come in and sit for a while?" Bailey Yin said in all seriousness, "It's already very late. It might not be convenient for me to go in. You should rest early." Shi Gigai replied with an "oh" and waved her little paw. "Then be careful on the way. I'll go in first." Bailey Yin nodded. The room door closed. She actually closed the door in front of him. Bailey Yin angrily patted his cheek. "You're asking for it. Why did you say it was inconvenient? Just go in and sit for a while." He stood at the door dejectedly for a while. Then he sighed and turned around, intending to leave. Unexpectedly, the door suddenly opened. He quickly turned around and saw Li Duobao standing at the door uneasily. Her face was abnormally red, and her hands were nervously wringing her fingers. Bailey Yin coughed and said, "What's wrong?" Li Duobao bit her lip and quickly said, "I'll contact you the next time I come to New York. Goodbye." With a bang, the door was forcefully closed. Bailey Yin stood there in a daze. His smart brain seemed to have turned into a block of wood. After a few minutes, he finally understood what she meant. He beamed, and the corners of his mouth reached his ears. He excitedly patted the door and shouted, Duobao, when you return to China you must miss me. I'll always miss you too. When you're not at work, you're not allowed to turn off your phone. You're not allowed to reject my calls, and you're not allowed to not reply to my messages. In the room, Li Duobao's back was leaning against the door. When he knocked on the door, the vibration was transmitted to her body. It was as if he was right beside her. Listening to his long-winded exhortations, she didn't feel annoyed at all. She cupped her burning cheeks with both hands and chuckled. Duobao, I'm leaving. Have a good rest tonight. Good night. The sound of knocking on the door finally stopped, and the conversation on the other side of the door also stopped. Bai Liyun muttered in a low voice. I really hope that girl will suddenly jump out and give me another hug. Unfortunately, Li Duobao didn't fulfill his wish this time. However, she softly replied, good night. Unfortunately, he didn't hear it. It was quiet outside the door. Li Duobao opened the door and took a look. The corridor was empty. Bai Liyun had finally left. She stood there with a pout, feeling a little disappointed. Bai Liyun stood at the end of the corridor and quietly poked his head out. When he saw the little woman standing at the door in a daze, the corners of his lips curled up. He suppressed the urge to run back and hug her. He hid behind the wall until she returned to the room and locked the door. Oh, you've fallen quite deeply, Bai Liyun muttered in a low voice as he raised his hand and patted his forehead. For Bai Liyun, there were two things that were the most torturous. One was seeing Xiaobao once a month. Sometimes he missed her so much that he couldn't sleep. The second was his long-distance relationship with Li Duobao. She would stay in New York for 2 days almost every half a month. When she wasn't in New York, or when there was no way to contact her while on a flight mission, it was a kind of torture for Bai Liyun. There was only one way to relieve the pain of lovesickness, and that was to work hard and enter the China market as soon as possible. When the time came, he would stay in City A and marry Li Duobao. His wife and son would warm the bed. Everything would be perfect. Bai Liyun touched his chin and planned for the future. He worked even harder. Japan. Matsuda Industrial Group CEO's office. Suzuki Chisakura sat in the office chair. There was no expression on her delicate and beautiful face. Her eyes stared coldly at the two men in suits who were bent over the desk. The stagnant atmosphere was suffocating. Pa. She suddenly slammed the desk and said coldly, why didn't you tell me about this earlier? The two men bent even lower. One of them replied, when we found out about this, you had already ordered to withdraw the surveillance on Bai Liyun and his family. We thought it wasn't important, so we didn't report it immediately. B****. Suzuki Chisakura's phoenix eyes turned cold. She exuded a vicious aura. Your mission is to report everything you find out to me, not to judge for me what's important and what's not. If you can't even do this, what's the point of me keeping you? If she had known that Bai Liyun was in contact with Li Duobao, and if she had known that Bai Liyun cared about Li Duobao, she could have used Li Duobao to threaten him. Perhaps she would have won the battle for Xiaobao's custody. We're very sorry. We won't do it again. The two men bowed deeply. The man who replied earlier said, Madam, please give us another chance. We won't let you down. Suzuki Chisakura's breathing steadied. She raised her hand to tuck her hair. A vicious look flashed across her eyes. She said indifferently, okay, I can give you another chance. I hate that woman called Li Duobao. Teach her a lesson. Add. Xingwu 799. Chapter 390. The two of them answered in unison, yes. Suzuki Chian Sakura's eyes flickered as she continued. Didn't you say that she's flying to New York? Don't deal with her in City A. Wait until she's in New York. I don't understand. Isn't it more convenient in City A? Suzuki Chian Sakura said coldly, idiot. If something happens to Li Duobao in City A and her parents report it, the police will definitely investigate. If something happens to her in a foreign country, who will care about her? Understood. Suzuki Chian Sakura looked at their backs as they left. Her lips curled into a cold smile. Bai Liyun, not only did you not care about our past relationship, you even took my son away from me and ruined my plans. I won't let you and your mistress have it easy. Li Duobao didn't know that a crisis was approaching her. After returning from New York, She rested for 2 days, and then flew to England. Next, she would fly to New York. During this period of time, Bai Liyun would call her every day or send her a text message, which made her feel warm and worried. That feeling was very strange. Although she had not agreed to be in a relationship with him, the balance in her heart was already leaning towards him. Li Duobao walked slowly in her beautiful and elegant flight attendant uniform. She dragged her suitcase with one hand and held her phone with the other. There was a sweet smile on her lips. Okay, I got it. I'm going to start work soon. See you tomorrow. Bai Liyun stood in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window in his office and looked at the skyscraper opposite. His slender fingers held his phone tightly as he laughed softly. See you tomorrow, Duobao. I miss you very much. Li Duobao's eyes curved as she replied softly, After ending the call, her heart was still warm. Her colleague poked her with her arm and smiled ambiguously. Duobao, you have a boyfriend? Li Duobao blushed. Don't talk nonsense. We're just ordinary friends. Her colleague teased. Oh, just ordinary friends. Then why are you blushing? I'm not. I saw it clearly. Stop fooling around, it's time to board. After more than 10 hours of flight, she would arrive in New York. Thinking that he would be able to see her soon, Bai Liyun's tiredness was swept away. He was rejuvenated and his blood was boiling. He energetically held a department meeting and personally led a team to discuss the cooperation with the mainland manufacturers. Thank you for taking this flight. I wish you a pleasant journey. When the plane finally arrived in New York, Li Duobao sent the last passenger out of the cabin. After finishing the last bit of work, he and his colleagues took the bus and checked in at the hotel booked by the airline. She had just finished packing when Bai Liyun called. Duobao, have you arrived in New York? I have to meet a very important client later, so I can only come to see you at noon. Li Duobao rolled his black eyes. Sure, no problem. I was just about to catch up on my sleep. By the way, I don't think I've asked you before. What's the name of your company? Bai Liyun chuckled. Alden High-Tech Company. He wanted to say something else, but his secretary knocked on his office door. President, Mr. Smith is already here. He's waiting for you in the conference room. Bai Liyun raised his hand and gestured for him to wait. Then he said to Li Duobao, Duobao, the client is here. I'll hang up first. See you at noon. Okay, see you at noon. After Li Duobao ended the call, she threw the phone on the bed and ran to the computer table happily. She quickly turned on the computer. She planned to check Bai Liyun's company address, and then sneak to his company to give him a surprise. She checked the address, took a shower, and rested for an hour. Then, she took out a set of clothes from her suitcase and changed. She wore a light green windbreaker, a white lace skirt, and a pair of suede boots. She looked youthful and beautiful. She carried a white leather bag in her hand, and went out in a good mood. Li Duobao had just walked out of the hotel when a taxi stopped by the road. The driver with a beard took out a photo from his pocket. He looked at Li Duobao, and then looked at the woman in the photo. The corners of his lips curled up in satisfaction. It seemed that it was her. Taxi. Li Duobao stood by the road and stretched out her right hand. A taxi slowly drove in front of her. The driver with a beard looked at her casually. Miss, where are you going? Li Duobao opened the back door and sat in the car. She smiled politely. Seagram Building. Thank you. No problem, the driver replied calmly. He started the car and drove further and further away from the hotel she was staying at. Although Li Duobao didn't know much about New York, she used her phone to navigate the route to Seagram Building. So when the driver deviated from the route, she immediately reminded him, Mr. Driver, you seem to be going the wrong way. That's right, Mississippi. This road can also lead to Seagram Building, and it'll be faster. The driver looked at her through the rearview mirror. She couldn't see his expression because half of his face was covered by his beard, but there was something in his eyes that made her very uncomfortable. She thought it was her imagination and didn't take it to heart. She smiled. So that's how it is. The driver didn't say anything else and drove quietly. As time passed, Li Duobao felt more and more that something was wrong. According to the navigation on her phone, they were getting further and further away from their destination. She felt uneasy and made a prompt decision. Mr. Driver, please stop the car. I want to get out. Miss, don't worry. We'll be there soon. The driver didn't stop the car. Instead, he drove faster. Li Duobao didn't believe him anymore. Her expression changed, and she secretly dialed Bailey Yun's number. After 2 rings, the call was picked up. Duobao, what's wrong? Bailey Yun, The driver suddenly braked. Li Duobao's body suddenly fell forward, and the phone in her hand fell on the car. She quickly bent down to pick it up. The driver quickly jumped out of the driver's seat and quickly opened the back door. Just as she picked up the phone, Bailey Yun's anxious voice came through. Hello, Duobao, what happened? Bailey Yun, save me. Let go of me, let go. Before Li Duobao could finish speaking, the driver grabbed her hair with one hand and dragged her out. The other hand snatched the phone in her hand and threw it in the middle of the road. A car sped past and crushed the plane. Li Duobao struggled with punches and kicks. What are you doing? Let go of me, let go. The driver cursed in English and suddenly raised his hand to hit the back of her head. Li Duobao's vision turned black, and she collapsed in his arms. In the meeting room, Bailey Yun's face was cold, and his thin lips were pursed. With the last bit of rationality, he apologized to Mr. Smith. Mr. Smith, I'm very sorry. My lover is in danger now, and I have to save her. Our meeting has to be rescheduled. Smith was very reasonable and said solemnly, If I can help, please don't hesitate. Bailey Yun shook his hand. Thank you very much. Bailey Yun was burning with anxiety. From the analysis of the situation on the phone, Duobao must have met with an accident. This was New York, a city with a very high crime rate. He could hardly imagine what would happen to a weak woman like her if she fell into the hands of criminals. Damn it, why didn't he accompany her? If he had postponed the meeting today, none of this would have happened. Bailey Yun blamed himself and was anxious. He quickly contacted the hotel staff. The hotel said that there was no one in Li Duobao's room. The doorman saw her leave the hotel an hour and a half ago and take a taxi. Bailey Yun asked anxiously, What's the license plate number of the taxi? I'm sorry, our staff didn't pay attention. Now they could only check the taxi company's vehicle records to locate which taxi Li Duobao was in. However, this could only be done by the police. When Bailey Yun was young and frivolous, he had dealings with the New York underworld. He had also been to the police station many times, and had even made friends with a few police detectives. Now, these connections could be put to good use. He contacted his former underworld friends, and asked them to help find Li Duobao's whereabouts. On the other hand, he asked the New York Police Department to come forward, and find out that there were more than 10 taxis that had picked up passengers outside the hotel. After the police investigated these cars, they finally locked on to one of the taxis. Unexpectedly, during the investigation, the driver of the taxi claimed that his car had been robbed. The person who robbed his car was a man with a full beard and sunglasses. The investigation was a race against time. Every second delayed meant that Li Duobao would be in more danger. It was the first time Bailey Yun was so frightened. He tried his best to control his emotions. While waiting for the results of the police investigation, he looked around for ways to inquire about Li Duobao. Li Duobao's head was dizzy. In a trance, she felt someone pushing her body hard. A woman's voice shouted in her ear in English, Hey, wake up! She slowly opened her eyes and saw the face of a beautiful foreign woman. The woman retracted her hand, straightened her body, and hugged her shoulders with both hands. She's awake. Take her to put on makeup. Li Duobao's mind was in a mess. Before she could figure out the situation, a black man in a black vest and ripped jeans stood out from behind the woman. He grabbed Li Duobao's arm and dragged her up from the ground. Hey, what do you want? Let me go. Li Duobao struggled and refused to follow the black man. In these few seconds, she quickly looked around and found that she was in a dark room similar to a basement. She must have been kidnapped by the taxi driver and brought here. The foreign woman looked at her coldly. You've been sold to me. Gigai, listen to me. Otherwise you'll suffer. Li Duobao's head exploded with a bang. He had been sold? Was it the driver? She tried to calm herself down. Who sold me to you? How much? I want to redeem myself. Welfare Songshu 566. Chapter 391. The foreign woman laughed out loud. Redeem yourself? That's the funniest joke I've heard this year. Miss, you'll soon understand where I am. Li Duobao bit her lips, her eyes filled with determination. In this world, there's no price that can't be negotiated. Tell me, how much money do you want for you to let me go? The foreign woman crossed her arms and sneered. When I bought you, I spent 100,000 USD. Isn't it just 100,000 USD? I'll give it to you. Li Duobao said generously, but her heart was beating like a drum. 100,000 USD. How could she have that much money? But in order to stabilize the other party, she had no choice but to lie. I'll contact a friend right now and ask him to raise the money. The woman snorted. When I bought you, I spent 100,000. Now that I'm selling you, of course it'll be more than that. Li Duobao raised her chin. Then how much do you want? The woman walked closer to her, her eyes filled with greed. Li Duobao subconsciously retreated, but she was held tightly by the thug and had no room to dodge. She could only watch as the woman's right hand landed on her face. The woman caressed Li Duobao's smooth cheeks with a strange smile on her face. A beautiful Asian girl like you is very popular with those rich people. You can be auctioned off for at least $1 million USD. Li Duobao was shocked. Auction? She finally understood what this woman was doing. This must be an underground trading place, and she would be auctioned off as a commodity. This thought flashed through her mind, and she made a prompt decision. All right, $1 million it is. Yo, little girl, you're quite arrogant. Do you really have that much money? The woman's beautiful eyes were filled with suspicion as she sized her up. I don't, but my friend does. Li Duobao puffed out her chest and forced herself to be calm as she met her sharp gaze. My friend is the CEO of a high-tech company. He will definitely save me. The woman's eyes moved slightly as she stared at her thoughtfully, as if she was considering whether what she said was true or not. The air froze, and the surroundings were silent. Li Duobao nervously clenched her fists, waiting for the woman's decision. Suddenly, a melodious ringtone sounded, and the woman put the phone close to her ear. What's the matter? Sister Lisa, the client is making a ruckus. He wants to see the goods as soon as possible. The woman's eyes flashed and her red lips parted. All right, I understand. I'll be right there. She ended the call and looked at Li Duobao. She shrugged her shoulders and said, I'm sorry, but I can't make this deal with you. Tonight, all my clients are here for you. I can't ruin my own reputation. Most importantly, she had a hunch that the Chinese girl in front of her would be auctioned off for a very good price. After saying that, the woman waved her hand, and the black thug twisted Li Duobao's arm and walked out of the basement. Li Duobao did not give up. He turned around and shouted, Think about it again. I can still increase the price. The woman sneered and said no more. Li Duobao's heart was in a mess. She didn't know what to do. Bailey Yin should have found out that she was kidnapped. Would he come to save her? He would definitely come to save her, but the problem was, would he be able to find this place? Li Duobao was a little desperate. She was now being dragged by the thugs into an underground base. They turned several corners in the underground passage. When they stopped, they were already standing in front of a brightly lit room. What are you waiting for? Come in quickly. An old woman with heavy makeup pulled Li Duobao from the hands of the thugs and dragged her into the room. The black thug was like a door god, guarding the door with his hands behind his back. Yo, today's finale is the Dongfang girl. Before Li Duobao had time to look at the situation in front of her, 4 or 5 old women had already surrounded her. As if they were looking at goods, they looked at her up and down with a picky gaze. One touched her chin, the other touched her chest and sighed. Dongfang girl, rare goods. Her face is not bad, but it's a pity that her chest is not big. An old woman opened her mouth and smiled wretchedly. What's there to be afraid of with a small chest? Some guests with unique tastes like it. All right, stop talking nonsense. Hurry up and help her dress up. It's going to be chaotic in front. The old women pulled Li Duobao into the bathtub. They took off her clothes in a flurry. Go away, don't touch me. Li Duobao hugged her chest in panic. Her legs kicked and struggled, splashing water everywhere. The women's clothes were all wet. Damn it, This girl is like a fighting dog. She's so fierce. With her like this, we can't give her a bath. The old woman who looked like the leader cursed and casually called out a person's name. Carolyn, go get that thing and give her an injection. An old woman wearing a sexy red dress with sagging breasts and a wrinkled neck responded, and quickly walked to the dressing table. She opened a box and took out a syringe from it. She approached Li Duobao with a strange smile on her shriveled face. Little girl, after you inject this thing, you have no choice but to be obedient. What is that? Go away, go away. Li Duobao opened her eyes wide in panic and struggled with all her strength. Sisters, hold her down for me. At Carolyn's command, everyone rushed forward and pressed Li Duobao tightly into the bathtub. No, I beg of you, let me go. Li Duobao's 4 limbs were held down, and she had no room to resist. Tears of panic gushed out of her eyes as she begged for mercy helplessly. However, no one helped her. They all looked at her coldly as she suffered. Carolyn pierced the syringe into her blood vessels, and the transparent liquid slowly injected into her body. Li Duobao leaned against the edge of the bathtub in despair. She didn't know what they injected into her body, but she knew that it definitely wasn't something good. She felt her hearing and vision gradually become blurry, as if she was isolated from the world. Her body felt as if there were 10,000 little worms crawling on it. It was numb and disgusting. Her clothes were stripped off, and her skin came into contact with the cold air. It was so cold that she shivered. Pairs of hands rubbed her body forcefully, or used a soft brush to wash her. Her limbs were sore and weak, and she couldn't stop them. She could only passively accept it. After an unknown period of time, a green sea appeared in front of her. She felt as if she was swimming in the clouds, and she felt as light as a feather. The scene changed, and it became a beautiful field under the setting sun. She and Bailey Yun strolled hand in hand. He smiled gently and charmingly. He kissed her lips and whispered affectionately, Duobao, I love you. Li Duobao had already been dragged to the dressing room by the group of people. She leaned against the back of the chair and looked at the ceiling in a daze, giggling foolishly. Just as she was immersed in the illusion brought about by the hallucinogenic drugs, the old woman finished putting on her makeup and put on a sexy translucent underwear. They also smeared a layer of transparent liquid on her body. Under the illumination of the light, her whole body glowed brightly like a pearl. She was so beautiful that it was suffocating. All right, quickly bring her up to the stage. Unknowingly, Lisa appeared at the entrance of the dressing room. She crossed her arms and looked at Li Duobao indifferently. When Li Duobao was brought to the auction stage, she was still stumbling and couldn't even walk steadily. The dazzling light suddenly enveloped her body, but she didn't react at all. She stared blankly at the group of sanctimonious rich people below the stage. This was a brightly lit hall with luxurious decorations. The stage was filled with men in suits and leather shoes. Most of them were young people, and there were a few middle-aged and old men. Li Duobao's face was still intoxicated by the hallucinogen. That beautiful face had a dazed and silly expression, which simply had a fatal charm. The noisy stage suddenly quieted down. The host held the microphone in his hand and excitedly introduced, Gentlemen, the beautiful miss that you see now is our most dazzling pearl tonight. Look at her delicate skin, perky breasts and buttocks, as well as that slender waist and slender legs. It will definitely make you want to die. The host used vulgar words to describe Li Duobao's body, arousing the enthusiasm of the audience below the stage. He even reached out his hand to touch her face in disgust. This skin is as smooth and tender as a peeled egg. It's really enchanting. Most importantly, she's still an uncultivated virgin. Everyone, let's not wait any longer. Let's start the bidding. The starting price is $500,000. The audience below the stage used greedy and obscene gazes to linger on Li Duobao's body. They estimated her value in their hearts. A fat middle-aged man had already raised the sign in his hand and shouted, 1 million. Great, this gentleman has bid 1 million. Is there a higher bid? 1,100,000. 1,200,000. The audience began to fiercely bid. The noisy voices continued to wash Li Duobao's eardrums. She gradually pulled herself out of the hallucinatory world. The voices in her ears became clearer and clearer. The scene in front of her fell into her eyes. Only then did she realize that she was standing naked under the light. She met countless wretched gazes. She subconsciously hugged her chest with both hands. Her body slowly trembled. Her heart was also trembling. She wanted to scream. She wanted to run away. However, under the watchful eyes of the crowd, she had no choice but to stand there in despair. There was only a voice in her heart telling her, "Li Duobao, be strong. Don't cry. Don't cry in front of these pigs and dogs." The voices of bidding rose and fell. Perhaps it was the psychological suggestion that worked. She slowly calmed down and expressionlessly stared at the group of people below the stage. In her clear eyes, there was something called strength. Perhaps in her subconscious, she believed that Bailey Yin would definitely come to save her. Welfare Hongcha 866. Chapter 392. The host shouted at the top of his lungs. 2 million going once, 2 million going twice. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? 5 million. The closed door was suddenly pushed open, and a tall figure appeared at the door. The venue fell silent. $5 million was a sky-high price to buy a woman. Everyone turned their heads and looked at the man who had suddenly barged in. He was handsome, and his expression was cold. His entire body was emitting a domineering aura that made people tremble. He walked forward step by step, and with every step he took, Li Duobao's heart trembled. It was Bailey Yun. He really came. The moment she saw him, her tears almost rolled down her cheeks. She bit her lips tightly and tried to control the sobs that came from the depths of her throat. The host shouted excitedly, 5 million. This gentleman has bid 5 million. Is there anyone who wants to bid higher than him? She's a rare oriental beauty. The venue was still silent. Other than Bailey Yun's heavy footsteps, no other sound could be heard. The host tried to push the price higher and shouted, 5 million going once, 5 million going twice. Is there anyone else who wants to bid? Bailey Yun walked up the stage step by step. Only then did the host and the audience in the front row see his expression clearly. He was like a ghost that had crawled out of hell. His eyes were gloomy and terrifying, and his entire body suddenly emitted a violent aura. The smile on the host's face instantly froze. Sir, please wait below the stage. The auction is not over yet. Bai Liyun's eyes were dyed with a hint of scarlet. As if he didn't hear the host's reminder, he directly walked past him and walked in front of Li Duobao, who was covering his chest with both hands. He quickly took off his suit jacket and gently draped it over her shoulders. Then he tightened the jacket and blocked the vulgar gazes of the group of people. His jacket could only cover about 2 inches below her legs, but it was much better than her lace underwear. He stared at her deeply. Without saying a word, he held her hand tightly and shielded her behind him. Then, his fierce gaze locked onto the host. His voice was hoarse, but it carried a coldness that brooked no refusal. Call your boss here. His actions confused everyone. The host smiled awkwardly. Sir, what do you mean by this? Bailey Yun's eyes were filled with murderous intent, like a ferocious lion glaring at its prey. Your boss, tell him to come see me. The owner of this underground auction was the woman Li Duobao saw when he first woke up, Lisa. Through the surveillance camera, Lisa had already understood the situation in front of her. She slowly tidied up her hair and informed the bodyguard to bring Bailey Yun over. The bodyguard whispered a few words into the host's ear and then walked over to Bailey Yun. Sir, our boss would like to see you. Bailey Yun glanced at him expressionlessly. He held Li Duobao's hand and followed him backstage. There was an uproar below the stage. The host hurriedly tried to smooth things over. Everyone, today's auction has come to an end. Thank you for coming. Bailey Yun protected Li Duobao and followed the bodyguard to Lisa's office. Lisa was wearing a long black dress and 7 centimeters high heels. Her beautiful blonde hair was draped over her shoulders. She held a cigar between her slender fingers and leaned lazily on the desk. Her indifferent gaze fell on Bailey Yun. Sir, why are you looking for me? Bailey Yun stared at her coldly. You have guts. How dare you auction my woman? Li Duobao stood behind him with her head lowered. Her hand was still in his hand. When she heard him say my woman, an indescribable feeling welled up in her heart. Lisa's pupils suddenly shrank. She chuckled and said, "Since she's come to this auction house, she's my goods. You've already bid for this miss for 5 million. As long as you pay the price, you can take her away." Bailey Yin pursed his lips and said indifferently, "I can give you 5 million. I want to know who kidnapped my woman." Lisa shrugged. "I can't tell you. You know the rules of our business." Bailey Yin sneered. "If you don't want to say, then go to the police station and discuss the so-called rules with the police." Lisa's expression changed slightly. She smiled faintly and said, "Our auction house does legal business. Even if you call the police, I don't care." Bailey Yun's lips curled into a sarcastic smile. "Legal? If the police witnessed this auction with their own eyes, can your business be considered legal?" He raised his left hand. There was a watch on his wrist. He said to the watch, "Detective Arnold, you can come in now." Actually, it wasn't a watch but a one-way intercom. It could transmit all the sounds from this side to the other side. Lisa was furious. She took out a gun from the desk drawer and aimed it at Bailey Yun's chest. Bailey Yun calmly protected Li Duobao behind him and sneered, "If I were you, I wouldn't be so stupid as to add another crime to my name." "Shut up. I'm going to kill you." Before Lisa could pull the trigger, the office door was kicked open. A group of armed police surrounded them. "Police, don't move. Put down your weapons." Seeing that the situation was hopeless, Lisa had no choice but to throw away the gun in her hand. When she was taken away by the police, she glared at Bailey Yin angrily. Bailey Yin didn't even look at her. All his attention was on Li Duobao, who was hiding behind him. He pulled her out from behind and held her tightly in his arms. He stroked her hair with his warm hands and said softly, "Duobao, I'm sorry to have made you suffer." Only then did Li Duobao's highly taut nerves completely relax. She was like a frightened little animal, cowering in his arms in fear. Her tears fell uncontrollably, and a suppressed sob came from her throat. "Duobao, it's okay. I'm here." Bailey Yun's heart ached. He frowned and hugged her tightly in his arms. He wished he could rub her into his body so that they wouldn't have to worry about being separated. Li Duobao cried for a while, and the fear in her heart gradually dissipated. However, she couldn't bear to leave his warm embrace. Still leaning on his chest, she muttered, "How did you find me?" "I used to know some underworld friends. They said that the owner of the underground auction house said that a Chinese girl was being auctioned tonight. I guessed it was you, so I came to try my luck." Bailey Yun rubbed her hair. There was a trace of uneasiness in his low voice. "Did they hurt you?" Li Duobao shook her head. She suddenly thought of something and said in fear, "They injected me with something. I became muddle-headed. Could it be drugs?" Bailey Yun's body stiffened. His Adam's apple bobbed twice. His low voice suppressed his anger. "Duobao, don't be afraid. Let's find that syringe first and take it to the police station for testing. If they really injected her with drugs, he would never let them go." The police found a lot of prohibited items in the underground auction house. There were also a few Xiao girls who had been abducted from Africa. With this solid evidence, the leaders of the auction house would definitely not be able to escape the punishment of the law. Li Duobao and Bailey Yun also had to go to the police station to make a statement. She was still wearing Bailey Yun's jacket. Inside was the translucent underwear. When she sat down, her legs would definitely be exposed. She stood awkwardly at the door of the police car, too embarrassed to sit down. Suddenly her waist tightened. She subconsciously lowered her head. Bailey Yun's arm was around her waist. He tied a thin blanket around her waist. The blanket was very long, enough to cover her legs. "Are you still cold?" he asked softly. Li Duobao's long eyelashes trembled. She was touched by his thoughtfulness. He deliberately blurred the focus so that she wouldn't be embarrassed. She sniffed, shook her head, and got into the police car. The police car quickly arrived at the police station. Bailey Yun wasn't in a hurry to get out of the car. Instead, he whispered something to the police officer who was with him. The police officer nodded and called for the driver. The two of them left first. Li Duobao reached out to open the car door. Bailey Yun stopped her. "Don't be anxious. Wait for a while." She didn't understand and looked at him blankly. He smiled and explained, I asked my assistant to go to the hotel to bring your luggage over. He'll be here soon. We'll go upstairs after you change. Li Duobao blushed and said, Oh. Bailey Yin ruffled her hair. Sit in the car. I'll go down and wait for Kelly. After waiting for 2 or 3 minutes, a car drove into the underground parking lot. Kelly got out of the car with a suitcase and walked quickly to Bailey Yin. President, this is Miss Li's luggage. Bailey Yin nodded and said calmly, You've worked hard. You can go back and rest first. It was nighttime and there was no one in the underground parking lot. Bailey Yin's back was facing the police car to avoid arousing suspicion. Li Duobao got into the back of the car and quickly changed her clothes. After getting out of the car, she walked to him and said with a red face, I'm done. Let's go upstairs. Bai Liyun made an N sound and very naturally grabbed her left hand, holding it tightly in his hand. She blushed even more and secretly glanced at him. His face was calm, as if he didn't have any other thoughts. She was embarrassed to pull her hand back. The syringe was sent for testing. Bailey Yin accompanied Li Duobao to take a statement. Then he brought her back to his apartment. This was a very beautiful villa. He lived alone. The hourly workers would come to clean every day, so the room was very clean and tidy. Bailey Yin brought Li Duobao to the guest room and gave her a clean towel and a man's bathrobe. I don't have women's clothes here. Wear my bathrobe first. Tomorrow we'll go shopping and buy some women's products. Li Duobao quickly said, No need. I'll go back to the hotel tomorrow. Attention Hongcha 866. Chapter 393. Bailey Yin's face darkened and his gaze turned fierce. It's too dangerous for you to stay in the hotel alone. I'm worried. Stay at my place when you come to New York in the future. It was the first time Li Duobao had seen such a scary expression on his face. She pouted guiltily. What happened today was just an accident. My colleagues are all staying at that hotel. I'll be careful in the future. There's no room for discussion. From today onwards, you'll stay at my place. Bai Lian took a step forward and lowered his head to look at her. The two of them were very close to each other, his face almost touching hers. His tall and straight body released a domineering aura that could not be denied, tightly enveloping her. Li Duobao was anxious. She raised her chin and looked at him. Bailey Yin, can't you be more reasonable? My colleagues are all staying there, and I'm the only one who's special. What do you want others to think? Bailey Yin was so angry that he gritted his teeth and roared at her. I'm not reasonable? Do you know that I'm going crazy because you're missing? Do you know how guilty I feel? I want to beat myself up. I wish I was the one who was kidnapped. Li Duobao's body trembled. She looked at him in disbelief and her eyes quickly reddened. I'm sorry, I didn't know. I really didn't know. I wanted to give you a surprise. I'm sorry. She bit her lips and her beautiful big eyes were sparkling with tears. She looked so pitiful that she looked like an obedient little white rabbit. His heart started to ache. He suddenly reached out and pulled her into his arms. He hugged her tightly and said in a low voice, Girl, don't make me worry again in the future. She didn't struggle and Gigai let him hug her. She pressed her head against his broad chest and said softly, Okay, I won't anymore. He hugged her arm tighter and stroked her hair gently. Listen to me and stay here with me. I won't be worried only if I can watch over you at all times. She was in a difficult position and didn't know how to respond. He rubbed his smooth chin against her silky hair and said in a magnetic voice, If you feel troubled, I'll talk to your leader. He won't make things difficult for you. She muttered, How are you going to communicate with my boss? Bai Liyun's mood improved a little. The corner of his lips curled up as he chuckled. I'll tell him directly that you're my fiancé. In order to save money for the company, you'll stay with me temporarily. She hurriedly pushed him away and said seriously, No, I'm not your fiancé. Don't talk nonsense. He shrugged nonchalantly. Sooner or later. Her face flushed red. We haven't started dating yet. If you spout nonsense, I'll ignore you from now on. Bailey Yin poked her puffy cheeks and raised his eyebrows mischievously. All right. I was just teasing you. Silly girl, you actually took it seriously. You're the stupid one. Li Duobao slapped his hand away with a fierce face. All right, don't be angry. Hurry up and take a shower. After that, we'll go downstairs to eat. Although he really wanted to tease the silly lass had been frightened for an entire day and should also relax. Okay. Li Duobao picked up the towel and bathrobe that he had placed on the sofa. She smiled shyly and walked into the bathroom. Bailey Yin put his hands in his trouser pockets. When he heard the sound of water splashing in the bathroom, he turned and went downstairs. The all-in-one kitchen was decorated with modern black marble and black tempered glass. It was spotless. Bailey Yin didn't know how to cook and had never cooked before. The kitchen was simply a decoration to him. Fortunately, he had hired a very good hourly worker. She would buy food every day and fill his fridge to the brim in case he needed it. He opened the fridge and looked through it. Most of the food inside was frozen food. He just needed to put it in the pot and cook it. He squatted in front of the fridge and frowned slightly. After thinking for a while, he finally decided to cook frozen dumplings. He washed the pot, filled it with water, covered the pot, turned on the gas stove, and waited for the water to boil. That's what the internet said. It should be right. Bailey Yin used his mobile phone to search for how to cook frozen dumplings, and then followed the steps, step by step. The water in the pot bubbled and bubbled. Steam rose from the pores and filled the air. Bailey Yin opened the package of frozen dumplings and held a frozen dumpling in his hand. He stood about half a meter away from the pot, and then threw the dumpling into the boiling pot like he was throwing a baseball. Plop! The dumpling hit the pot and the water splashed out. A drop splashed on the back of his hand and burned him. One, plop, plop. Finally, he threw the whole package of dumplings into the boiling pot. The back of his hand had been burned red. He didn't care about the burn on his hand and quickly covered the pot. Bailey Yin stared at the pot seriously and waited for the water to boil. The internet said that after the dumplings were put into the pot, cold water had to be added twice when the water boiled. A few minutes later, the water finally boiled. He scooped a small bowl of cold water and poured it into the pot to continue cooking. When he scooped the cooked dumplings into a bowl, Li Duobao happened to come down from upstairs. Her hair was still a little wet and was draped over her shoulders. She had changed into her own clothes, a checkered skirt and a small white cardigan. She looked youthful and energetic. Bailey Yin brought the dumplings to the dining room and greeted her with a smile. The dumplings just came out of the pot. Come and eat them while they're hot. Li Duobao jogged over. Okay, I love dumplings the most. Eat more if you like them. Here's a pair of chopsticks. Try them and see if they taste good. Bailey Yin stuffed the chopsticks into her hands, held her shoulders, and pressed her into the chair. Li Duobao held the chopsticks but didn't eat. She glanced at the dining table and asked curiously, "Why is there only one bowl? Aren't you going to eat?" Bailey Yin touched his nose embarrassedly. "There's only one bag of frozen dumplings. Eat first. I'll cook the instant noodles later." "What's wrong with the back of your hand?" Li Duobao saw that the back of his hand was red. He shrugged nonchalantly. "It's nothing. I accidentally scalded myself. Why don't you treat it? If there are blisters, it'll get worse." Li Duobao quickly put down her chopsticks and grabbed his wrist. Her delicate brows furrowed. "It's so red. Wash it with cold water first." She grabbed his wrist and dragged him to the sink. She turned on the tap and washed the back of his hand with cold water. She explained carefully, "After a burn, you have to wash the wound with cold water first. Then, soak the wound in cold water for 10 minutes to half an hour. Then apply burn ointment. Do you have any burn ointment in your house?" Bailey Yin looked at her serious expression and was in a good mood. He couldn't feel the burning on the back of his hand and turned a deaf ear to her question. Li Duobao didn't get an answer for a long time. She looked up and saw him in a daze. She said angrily, "Hey, what are you thinking about? Let me ask you, do you have any burn ointment at home?" A smile appeared in Li Yun's eyes as he shook his head. "No." Li Duobao thought for a moment and said, "It's okay. If you don't have any ointment, you can use honey, ginger juice or toothpaste instead. Apply it to the wound, and it can quickly suppress the redness and swelling. It can also stop the pain. Soak your hand in cold water and don't move. I'll get the toothpaste." Bai Liyun's eyes curved into crescents. All right. The little girl ran upstairs like a gust of wind to find the toothpaste. Bai Liyun's smile widened. He lowered his eyes and looked at his fingers soaked in cold water. His heart was full. Okay, the toothpaste is here. Li Duobao rushed back to his side like a gust of wind. She first disinfected the back of his hand with alcohol, and then carefully applied the toothpaste to the wound. Bai Liyun looked at the snow-white back of his hand and smiled. I didn't expect you to know these things. Li Duobao grinned. When I was young, I often got scalded while cooking. That's what my mother taught me. There's a saying that a long illness makes a good doctor. It's referring to me. The smile on Bai Liyun's face gradually froze. Every time she mentioned her past life, he felt his heart ache. However, she acted as if nothing had happened and never took it to heart. She was even proud that the suffering of the past had made her who she was now. Every time he learned more about her, he liked her more. He thought that if he hadn't met her on the plane when he had left that desperate one-sided love, how lonely would his life have been? He smiled and gently patted her head. He said softly, "Let's eat. The dumplings are sticky." Li Duobao blinked and quickly rolled up the sleeves of her cardigan. "Sit down first. I'll get you something to eat." "No need. I'm not hungry yet. You eat first." Bai Liyun tried to stop her, but she put her hands on his back and pushed him to the dining table. She joked, "The kitchen is my territory now. Don't come in and disturb me. Yi Gai, sit down. I'll be back soon." Bai Liyun watched her open the fridge and hesitated for a few seconds. Then she took out a few eggs, a few tomatoes, and a packet of instant noodles from the cabinet. She was wearing an apron and seemed to be in a good mood. She wandered around the kitchen table for a few minutes, and soon came back with a bowl of fragrant tomato and egg noodles. She placed the noodles in front of him and handed him a pair of chopsticks. She smiled with narrowed eyes. "Be careful. It's hot." Bai Liyun's slanted eyes curved and he pulled out a chair for her. "Sit down. The dumplings are cold." "It's okay. It's easier to eat when it's cold." Li Duobao picked up a chubby dumpling and put it in his bowl. Her eyes were full of smiles. "These are the dumplings you worked so hard to cook. How can you not try it?" Bai Liyun picked up a chopstick of noodles and put it into his mouth. His eyes immediately turned red. "It's delicious. Duobao, your cooking skills are amazing." Li Duobao was embarrassed by his praise. She took a bite of the dumpling and praised him back. "The dumplings are delicious too." He smiled sheepishly. "It's a pity that I didn't make them myself. They were frozen dumplings. I was only responsible for cooking them, but in the end, I burned my hand." Awesome novel Songshu 566. Chapter 394. Li Duobao blinked her big watery eyes and grinned. "It's not embarrassing to not know how to cook. There are many things that you know how to do that I don't know either." Bai Liyun immediately beamed with joy. "So you don't mind?" "Of course I don't mind." Li Duobao blinked her eyes in confusion. She really didn't know what to mind about this kind of thing. Of course, she didn't understand Bai Liyun's thoughts. He looked confident and proud, but in reality, he still felt inferior in his heart. He felt guilty for his past. Facing such an innocent Li Duobao, he wanted to become the perfect man in her heart. After the meal, Bai Liyun took the initiative to take on the responsibility of washing the dishes. Li Duobao pushed him to the side and coaxed him like a child. "Your hand is injured, so you should rest. I'm used to doing these chores. It'll be done soon." Bai Liyun leaned against the wall and watched her busying herself in the kitchen. She skillfully did the housework with a peaceful smile on her face. Her graceful figure appeared even more enchanting under the soft light. It was a wonderful feeling and also very warm. It was as if the two of them had lived together for many years and didn't need to do anything. As long as he quietly watched her, he would be satisfied. Li Duobao cut some fruits and placed them in a beautiful glass plate. She smiled and brought them in front of him. "The fruits are here after the meal." Bai Liyun pulled her to his side and sat down. "Let's watch a comedy. It'll help you sleep if you relax before going to bed." "Sure." The two of them nestled on the soft sofa, watching a comedy while eating fruits. Li Duobao was convulsing with laughter, and Bai Liyun wasn't any better. He held his stomach and collapsed on her lap, laughing like a big fox and a little white rabbit. He was laughing happily on the sofa, and his fur was all over the sofa. After watching the movie, Bai Liyun laid on Li Duobao's lap and lazily stretched his waist. It's getting late, let's rest early. Li Duobao puffed up her cheeks and stared at him without blinking. He wantonly rubbed against her legs twice, and that unbelievably beautiful face still had a satisfied expression. Don't tell me we're just going to rest like this? How much longer are you going to take advantage of me? I've been using my eyes to whip you for a long time. Li Duobao slapped his head in dissatisfaction. Bai Liyun narrowed his peach blossom eyes and threw her a charming smile. His voice was extremely charming. It's too comfortable. I can't bear to get up. If you think you're at a disadvantage, you can lean on my legs. He patted his thigh with his slender fingers and stretched out his arms. Come, I'll give you my warm embrace too. She pouted in disdain. No way, I'm the one who's at a disadvantage, okay? Get up, I'm going to bed. She pushed him forcefully, and he slowly climbed up from her legs with a regretful look on his face. The bed in the guest room was very comfortable, and it was many times more comfortable than the bed in the hotel. Moreover, Li Duobao had been frightened and was mentally exhausted. Once she laid on the bed, she quickly fell asleep. Bai Liyun was worried that she wouldn't be able to sleep because of the shock, so he warmed up a glass of milk in the kitchen and brought it upstairs. He sneaked it into her room, but when he walked to the head of the bed, he saw that she had curled up into a ball and was sleeping soundly. He raised his eyebrows in amusement and bent down to stroke her hair gently. The next morning, Li Duobao climbed out of bed in a daze. The room was unfamiliar. She rubbed her cheeks hard, and her brain gradually woke up. Ah, this is Bai Liyun's house. She instantly regained her energy. She glanced at the clock by the bed. It was already 8:30. She knew something was wrong and hurriedly jumped out of bed. She didn't even have time to change her clothes as she ran downstairs in her slippers. Bai Liyun was sitting on the sofa reading the newspaper. When he heard the frantic footsteps, he looked up and saw Li Duobao running downstairs in a cute white rabbit nightgown. Her long hair was messy, and her little face was filled with anxiety. Bai Liyun's heart tightened, and he hurriedly stood up. Duobao, what happened? Li Duobao's footsteps suddenly froze, and she stood there in a daze for a few seconds. She touched her hair awkwardly. You're not going to the office? Bai Liyun walked closer to her. I'm staying at home to accompany you today. You still haven't told me why you ran down in a panic. Li Duobao chuckled. I accidentally overslept. I thought you were going to the office. She did not continue speaking. Her fair cheeks had already been dyed with a faint layer of pink, and even her small earlobes were flushed red. Bai Liyun was slightly startled, then suddenly chuckled. He approached her and ruffled her hair, his eyes filled with a bright light. You ran so fast just to send me to the company, she replied shyly. She thought he was going to the office, and they could only meet again at night, so she didn't want to miss this morning's farewell. Bai Liyun beamed. Looking at her lowered eyes and the way her eyelashes trembled shyly, he felt sweet in his heart. He bent down and kissed her forehead gently. Silly girl, I'm liking you more and more. What should I do? His slightly cold lips were imprinted on her forehead, and she couldn't help but tremble slightly. She bit her lips shyly, and her heart pounded. She didn't dare to raise her head to look at him. His deep and magnetic laughter seemed to come from his chest, and it was so pleasant that it was intoxicating. He pulled her into his embrace, and his warm palm rested on her waist. He whispered, Duobao, you're mine. She didn't say anything, but there was a hint of a smile in her clear eyes. The two of them hugged each other quietly. The morning sun shone through the window onto the clean floor, and it was as beautiful as a painting. Gulp, gulp. A strange sound broke the warm atmosphere. Bai Liyun chuckled. Hungry? Go wash up. I've already made breakfast. Li Duobao's cheeks were red as she withdrew from his embrace. Like a little rabbit, she quickly ran upstairs. She ran all the way to the bathroom and saw herself in the mirror. Her face was like a peach blossom, and her hair was like withered grass. She was so embarrassed that she was about to cry. She actually ran downstairs without washing up or changing her clothes, letting him see her worst side. However, he didn't mind at all, and even kissed her forehead. She felt like her soul was about to fly away. When she tidied herself up, changed her clothes, and went downstairs again, Bailey Yin had already placed 2 sets of breakfast on the dining table. Each of them had a glass of milk, and there was also a black unknown object. What's this? Li Duobao poked the plate with a fork. It was dark inside the plate, and she couldn't tell what it was. Bailey Yin coughed. The legendary fried egg. Li Duobao sighed. The legendary dark cuisine. Without hesitation, she picked up the fork and put a piece into her mouth. Just as she was about to put it in her mouth, Bailey Yin quickly grabbed her wrist and smiled awkwardly. It's better not to eat it. I'll order takeout. She blinked. No, other than my dad, you're the first man to cook for me. She suddenly thought of something and held his hand. Let me see. Did you burn yourself again? No, I was smart enough not to throw a ball this time. Bailey Yin raised his eyebrows proudly. Actually, I've tried it before. It tastes pretty good, but the color is a little ugly. Now that you mention it, I want to try it even more. Li Duobao's expression didn't change. She put the fork into her mouth and chewed carefully. Bailey Yin looked at her anxiously and expectantly. How is it? It tastes pretty good. She smiled and praised him. Then she chewed the eggshell inside the fried egg and swallowed it quietly. Bailey Yin's eyes immediately lit up. He was so happy that he couldn't close his mouth. He combed the hair in front of his forehead and said, I told you, I have the talent to be a chef. Oh, not bad. You can do it, Chef Bailey. I have high hopes for you. Li Duobao winked mischievously and gave him a thumbs up. The two of them laughed and finished breakfast. Li Duobao pushed him to the side with the reason that he couldn't touch water because of the burn on his hand. She washed the dishes and cleaned the kitchen herself. When she walked into the kitchen, she realized that it could be described as a battlefield. Egg white was flowing on the table, a pool of egg yolk was lying on the ground, and broken eggshells were everywhere. It took talent to be able to make a kitchen like this. When Li Duobao was cleaning up, she found that there were several black unknown objects in the trash can. The objects were mixed with a lot of fried eggshells. Her eyes turned slightly and she quickly understood. Bailey Yin must have practiced many times before he could bring out the 2 finished products. Through the black fried eggs that had been thrown away, she seemed to see him standing in the kitchen, scratching his ears and cheeks in a panic as he fought with the eggs. She couldn't help but laugh out loud. Bailey Yin stood behind her and looked at her giggling to the trash can. He touched his nose embarrassedly. You've realized that I've actually failed many times. Li Duobao turned to look at him. Her head was slightly tilted, and she had a quiet smile on her face. Why do you do things that you're not good at? Bailey Yin stared at her with a serious expression and said slowly, You're hungry. He had exposed the things that he wasn't good at in front of her time and time again. The reason was very simple. It was because he cared about her. Although the food he made didn't taste good and looked ugly, it was because he was considerate of her. Li Duobao bit her lip. This was the most touching words of love she had ever heard. It touched her heart even more than I love you. Her eyes flickered quickly and she asked, Are you so considerate to all women? He hesitated for a moment and said, Before you, there was only one. He walked closer to her. I don't want to hide it from you. I used to love Xiaodong. She looked at him with her clear eyes and asked softly, Do you still love her? He smiled slowly. She taught me what love is and how to love someone. To me she's special. But the person I love now is you. Can you understand? He stared into her eyes so seriously. His deep eyes were surging with emotions. There was uneasiness, apprehension, and anticipation. He understood that people were selfish when it came to relationships. He hoped that he was the only one in his lover's heart. He didn't know if she would accept him like this. Add, Hongcha 866. Her clear eyes were full of smiles, and she mischievously sniffled. Then don't worry about me. I won't make you pay taxes. You heartless little rascal, don't you miss me? Bailey Yin raised his eyebrows and smiled. She furrowed her delicate brows in embarrassment. Well, I'll think about it reluctantly. Naughty. Bailey Yin knocked on her forehead. If it weren't for the fact that he was driving, he would have hugged her and blocked her red lips with his. Detective Arnold was in charge of receiving them. After Bailey Yin shook hands with him, he asked, Detective Arnold, what's the result of the test? Arnold smiled. Don't worry. They didn't inject Miss Lee with drugs, but with a hallucinogen. There won't be any side effects. That's great. Li Duobao looked at Bailey Yin happily. Bailey Yin winked at her. Arnold naturally knew that their relationship was unusual. He clenched his right fist and rested his chin on it. He coughed and pushed a portrait in front of Li Duobao. Miss Lee, please take a look at this person. Is he the one who kidnapped you? Li Duobao picked up the portrait and looked at it carefully. She nodded and said, It's him. Detective Arnold knocked on the desk and said, Lisa confessed that this person sold Miss Lee to her. We've already checked his background. His name is Molin. Mitchell has a criminal record for theft and intentional injury. We're already looking for him. Arnold carefully learned about the situation when Li Duobao was kidnapped. He frowned and said, I suspect Molin. Mitchell didn't commit the crime randomly. He premeditated to target Miss Lee. Through the taxi company's GPS system, we found that Molin's taxi stopped outside the hotel for more than 10 minutes. There was a lot of traffic outside the hotel. If it was a random crime, it doesn't make sense for him to wait for so long. Miss Lee, please think carefully. Do you have any grudges with anyone? Li Duobao thought for a long time and shook her head. No, I've never quarreled with anyone. Well, except for Bailey Yin, of course. Bailey Yin's eyes flashed and he glanced at Arnold. Arnold smiled and said, Miss Lee, I have something to discuss with Mr. Bailey alone. Oh, okay, Detective Arnold. Thank you. Li Duobao smiled politely and then left the office. A policewoman led her to the reception room next door to wait for Bailey Yin. Arnold said, Mr. Bailey, do you have any thoughts? Bailey Yin's expression was a little ugly. Duobao's interpersonal relationships are very simple. She has a very good personality. It's impossible for her to have any grudges with others. I suspect that the other party hurt her because of me. Make it clear. Bailey Yin pinched the space between his eyebrows. It's a little complicated. I used to date a girl. She was Japanese and her name was Suzuki Chisakura. We had a child. He briefly explained how he and Suzuki Chisakura had fought over Xiaobao's custody and said, I ruined her plan. It's very likely that she holds a grudge against me. She can't deal with me, so she came to hurt the people I care about. Arnold said seriously. In that case, Suzuki Chisakura is indeed suspicious, but we can't be sure. You've made a lot of enemies in the past. Once we catch Molin, everything will come to light. During this period of time, it's best for Miss Lee to be more careful. Bailey Yin said solemnly, I understand. I'll protect her. Detective Arnold, thank you very much for everything you've done. You're welcome. It's nothing. Arnold smiled and shook his hand. Walking out of the police station building, Li Duobao asked curiously, What were you and Detective Arnold talking about? Bailey Yin paused and looked at her fair little face. His foxy eyes twitched. You want to know? She smiled playfully. If you can tell me. His lips curled into a smile as he pressed his palm against her forehead. I can tell you this. Arnold asked me what my relationship with you was, and I told him that you're my future wife. How about it? Are you satisfied with my answer? Li Duobao blinked. Is that really it? Why do I feel like you're hiding something from me? How could I hide anything from your future husband? Don't think too much, okay? His sexy and soft voice was full of affection. Li Duobao fell into his gentle attack and foolishly followed him into the car. It wasn't until 10 minutes later that she realized something was wrong. Blushing, she mumbled, Don't talk nonsense in the future. I'm not your future wife. Bailey Yin raised his eyebrows and smiled slyly. If you're not, then who is? Honey, stop fooling around. Let's go home. Stop shouting. I'm really going to get angry. Li Duobao's face was so hot that it could cook an egg. She glared at him and threatened him. Okay. Don't be angry. I'll listen to you and stop shouting. You're my future wife after all. Bailey Yun really had the ability to anger people to death. The two drove to the supermarket. Bailey Yun pushed the cart with one hand and held Li Duobao's hand with the other. The two were like a married couple for many years. They stood in front of the shelves and picked out what they needed. Bailey Yun picked up a bottle of shower gel that was full of foreign words and asked with a smile, "Do you like lemon-flavored shower gel?" "I don't like it. I like citrus. It just so happens that this brand also has citrus." Bailey Yun changed a bottle and put it into the shopping cart. The two bought a cart full of daily necessities. Li Duobao pulled his arm and walked to the vegetable and fruit section. She smiled and said, "Let's go buy groceries. I'm going to make you something delicious tonight." Bailey Yun was handsome, tall, and dressed in famous brands. He appeared in the vegetable section and attracted the attention of many mothers-in-law. There were also many beauties who looked at him. It was a pity that he didn't even look at them out of the corner of his eyes. All of his attention was on Li Duobao. He spoke to her gently and was considerate, which broke the hearts of many women. The public man from before had disappeared. Now he only had her in his eyes. Li Duobao bought ready-made dumpling skins. When she got home, she made two kinds of fillings, leek and egg fillings and cabbage and pork fillings. When she started to make dumplings, Bailey Yun also stayed by her side to help. The dumplings he made were of different sizes and shapes. Li Duobao laughed. "It's so ugly. They look like they haven't eaten their fill, lying on the cooking table." "Well, you dare to laugh at me. I will destroy you on behalf of the moon." Bailey Yun suddenly reached out and smeared flour on her cheeks. "Wah, I want revenge." Under the soft light, two figures, one tall and one short, were playing around, talking and laughing. It was extremely warm. Li Duobao made a very sumptuous dinner. After the meal, she sealed the uncooked dumplings in a plastic bag and put them into the refrigerator. She dragged Bailey Yun to squat in front of the refrigerator and pointed out to him, "This one is filled with leek and egg, and this one is filled with cabbage and pork. If you're hungry at night, take it out and cook it. Don't eat too much junk food. It's not good for your health." Bailey Yun's eyes were full of smiles. It turned out that she made so many dumplings for him to make a midnight snack. This girl still liked him a lot, didn't she? At Songshu 566. Chapter 396. The next morning, Bailey Yun put Li Duobao's luggage in the trunk and drove her to the airport. Before she got out of the car, he pulled her into his arms and said gently, "Duobao, remember, I'm your boyfriend. If you encounter any difficulties, you must tell me. Take good care of yourself." "Okay, I'll remember that. You have to take good care of yourself too, Ayin." Ayin. This was the first time she had called his name so intimately. Bailey Yun hugged her tightly, unwilling to let go. Li Duobao smiled and patted him on the back with her small hand. She said gently, "It's about time. I have to go. See you next week." Bailey Yun held her shoulders and looked at her delicate eyes with a burning gaze. He lowered his head and slowly approached her. Li Duobao had a premonition that something was about to happen. She grabbed his sleeve nervously and her thick eyelashes trembled slightly. She stared at him with a pair of innocent and watery eyes. Her face was full of nervousness. Bailey Yun felt like he was bullying a little white rabbit. He couldn't kiss her at all. "Forget it, let's take it slow. It's better not to scare her." A certain someone who had wanted to kiss her for a long time sighed in his heart. He changed the position of his lips and gently landed on her forehead. His soft lips pressed against her forehead. It was warm, like a feather falling on a calm lake, creating ripples. Li Duobao's heart was also in a mess. Bailey Yun sent Li Duobao to the airport. He stood in front of the huge floor-to-ceiling window and looked at the plane parked outside. He took out his phone and made a call to the country. Bailey Han was very unhappy. Anyone who was doing intimate things with their wife would be unhappy if they were disturbed by a phone call. He didn't want to answer the call, but Xia Dong took his phone from the bedside table. She looked at the caller ID and looked at him reproachfully. "Hurry up and answer it. It's Ayin." Bailey Han took the phone and slowed down his movements. His voice was tense as he asked concisely, "What's the matter?" Bailey Yin waited for a long time before the other side picked up the phone. The voice on the other side of the phone was slightly out of breath. Someone like him who had been in love for a long time certainly knew what was happening on the other side of the phone. He smirked and said lazily, "I'm sorry, brother. I forgot that it's only 10 o'clock at night in China. Did I disturb you?" Bailey Han's voice deepened. "I'll give you 10 seconds. Speak quickly." "Okay, don't be angry." Bailey Yin brushed the hair on his forehead and finally got to the point. "Brother, Li Duobao and I are dating. She was kidnapped 2 days ago. I suspect that Suzuki Chizukura ordered someone to do it. Send 2 people to protect her, please." Bailey Han grunted. Without waiting for him to speak, he cut off the call, turned off the phone, lowered his waist, and sank into the storm with Xiaodong again. There was only the sound of the phone beeping in his ears. Bailey Yin shook his head and said to himself, "A dissatisfied man is so scary." He had forgotten who the dissatisfied man was. 2 days later, the New York Police Department arrested Molin Mitchell. Molin didn't admit to kidnapping Li Duobao at first. Later, under Lisa's accusation, he had to admit it but refused to say who was behind it. After a series of threats and promises, Molin finally revealed that an Asian had contacted him and offered him $100,000 to kidnap Li Duobao. It would be best if he could cripple her to death. Molin saw that Li Duobao was beautiful, and he just so happened to have a relationship with Lisa, so he directly sold Li Duobao to Lisa to make a second profit. After Arnold told Bailey Yin the results of the investigation, he said, "We can't confirm that it was the Japanese who contacted Molin. In his eyes, all Asians are the same. He can't distinguish between Japanese and Chinese. How did they contact each other? If it was really Suzuki Chizukura who ordered it, she wouldn't be stupid enough to send someone to New York to hire a hitman. It must have been through remote contact." Arnold spread his hands and said helplessly, "Through the phone I checked. The other party used a burner phone and threw it away after one use. There was no way to find out who used it." "What about the payment?" "A Swiss account. The name of the account holder is Sophia. Alice. I've already sent someone to investigate this name." "Wait a minute." Bailey Yin felt that the name was familiar. He tapped the table with his finger and frowned slightly. After a moment, his eyes suddenly lit up. "I remember. On the day I met Suzuki Chizukura again, she deliberately pretended to be a stranger and got close to me. She said that she had an English name, Sophia." "Sophia. Alice. It must be her fake name." Although there was no conclusive evidence, Bailey Yin had already determined that Suzuki Chizukura was the mastermind behind it. This woman was simply too arrogant. He wouldn't let her have an easy time. Bailey Yin had read the investigation information about Suzuki Chizukura before. He knew that the Matsuda Group was actually a mafia gang, but on the surface, it was plated with the gold of an industrial group. All the funds of unknown origin were laundered through the industrial group, and the Matsuda Group's main business was the import and export of steel. The Matsuda Group's main business was the steel export business, and its biggest partner was the American SQT Steel Company. Bailey Yin hired a few commercial spies and spent nearly a month investigating the trade between SQT and the Matsuda Group. The annual trade volume was in the billions. No wonder Suzuki Chizukura was willing to pay any price to secure the position of the gang leader. Of course, he also found some interesting things that were enough to threaten Suzuki Chizukura's position in the gang. When Suzuki Chizukura heard that her subordinates had already bribed the New York assassins to kidnap Li Duobao, she thought that she had gotten rid of Li Duobao, a big problem in her heart, and didn't take it to heart. Unexpectedly, more than a month later, Bailey Yin suddenly called her. Chian Sakura smiled charmingly. "Ayun, are you looking for me because you want to relive old memories with me?" Bailey Yin snorted in disgust. "Suzuki Chizukura, it's broad daylight and you're already dreaming. I'm warning you, don't hurt Duobao again. Otherwise, I won't be polite to you." Suzuki Chizukura lazily raised her brows. "I have no idea what you're talking about." Bailey Yin sneered. "Stop pretending. I've already investigated everything that you've done. More than a month ago, you were the one who ordered Mo Lin to kidnap Duobao. If you dare to hurt her again, I won't let you off. Suzuki Chizukura's gaze turned cold. Damn it. Those two bastards actually lied to her. Didn't they say that Mo Lin had already killed Li Duobao? How could that damned woman still be alive? She tore apart the disguise on her face and sneered. Even if I did it, what can you do about it? You're just an incompetent playboy. What can you do without the protection of your family and Mika Kito's help? Bai Liyun's eyes were cold, and his lips curled into a mocking smile. He said unhurriedly, 6 years ago, the me you knew was indeed an incompetent playboy. But now, I won't let anyone look down on me. The Matsuda Group and SQT Steel Company are truly a pair of good partners. They even evade taxes together. In the past 3 years, you've evaded more than 2 billion yen in taxes. According to what I know, tax evasion is a serious crime in Japan. If the Matsuda Group's tax evasion is exposed, then the image that Matsuda Taro has painstakingly built up will suffer a devastating blow. Suzuki Chizukura's face turned pale as she tightly held onto her phone. After a long pause, she calmly said, "Our company is operating legally. There's no tax evasion at all." Bai Liyin sneered. "You really won't shed a tear until you see the coffin. Do you believe that I'll fax the evidence of your company's tax evasion to the IRS right now?" Bai Liyin spoke with certainty. Even if Suzuki Chizukura was suspicious, she didn't dare to take the risk since he didn't have any evidence. Once the news of tax evasion reached the IRS, their company wouldn't have any peace. Her face turned ugly as she gnashed her teeth. "All right, I understand. I won't trouble Li Duobao anymore." Bai Liyin coldly said, "You better pray that Duobao is safe. Otherwise, I'll blame you for anything that happens to her." Suzuki Chizukura was furious. "Bai Liyin, don't go too far. You know clearly whether I'm going too far, or you're going too far. Originally, I still wanted to get along with you peacefully because you are Little Treasure's mother. I didn't expect you to do such a shameless thing. You have really shattered the last bit of affection I have for you." His tone was indifferent, as if he was talking to a stranger who had nothing to do with him. "Suzuki Chizukura, you're on your own in the future." Suzuki Chizukura's body stiffened as she listened to the beeping sound from the phone. She felt as if all the strength in her body had been sucked away as she slumped into the chair. It was over. Everything was over. What was she still fighting for? If she angered Bai Liyin again, he might not allow her to visit Xiaobao anymore. He might even deprive her of her only right as a mother. Since she couldn't win against him, then she might as well stop fighting. Suzuki Chizukura covered her face with her hands and couldn't calm down for a long time. In the blink of an eye, it was already May. Bai Liyin and Li Duobao had been officially dating for 2 months. Although they didn't spend much time together, their relationship didn't fade. Instead, it deepened. May 13th was Li Duobao's birthday. She didn't have a flight mission, so she could stay at home for her birthday. Early in the morning, Bai Liyin called to give her his blessings. She smiled foolishly. "Do you have a gift?" "Of course. You'll receive my gift by air at 9 o'clock tonight." Bai Liyin dragged his suitcase with one hand and held his phone with the other as he walked in the airport lobby. "Okay, I'm looking forward to it." Li Duobao held her phone and rolled around on the bed happily like a puppy. "It's 8 o'clock in the evening in New York. Are you home? Have you had dinner?" "Yes, I'm home. I've already boiled the dumplings you made for me in the pot. Dinner will be ready soon." Li Duobao stopped rolling and scratched her messy hair. She muttered discontentedly, "Why are you eating so late? What if you're hungry?" "It's okay. I had snacks in the afternoon. I'm not hungry yet." Bai Liyin printed his boarding pass and asked with a smile, "Birthday girl, what are your plans today?" "Home. My mother and stepfather have already bought groceries and are waiting for me to go back." Bai Liyun's footsteps paused. He was filled with hostility towards Li Duobao's stepfather. Even when he spoke, this hostility was accidentally revealed. "Protect yourself well. Don't be alone with your stepfather." "I know. Don't worry about me. Go and take a look at the dumplings. Don't overcook them." Li Duobao was still thinking about his dumplings. Bai Liyin smiled softly. "Okay, I'll hang up first. I'll call you tonight." "Okay." Li Duobao smiled sweetly. After hanging up the phone, She still held her phone and smiled foolishly. Her phone suddenly rang again. She quickly picked it up. Duobao, are you up? It was Yuyu's voice. Yes. I'm up. Yuyu, we haven't seen each other for a long time. I miss you so much. Rin Yuyu said apologetically. I'm sorry, Duobao. I'm currently participating in a taekwondo competition in the imperial capital. I can't go back today. When I go back, I'll definitely make it up to you. Li Duobao jumped up excitedly. Competition? Why didn't you tell me? I could have gone to the imperial capital to cheer you on. I knew you would be like this, so I hid it from you. It's not easy for you to celebrate your birthday with your parents. You must have fun. Don't worry about me. I'm confident that I can defeat everyone in the world. Li Duobao was amused by her. Yuyu is the best. You will definitely win the championship. When you return in triumph, I will definitely give you a welcome. Yo, silly girl, you've improved. You even used 2 idioms in one sentence. Don't look down on me. I was a talented girl in the Chinese department back then. Rin Yuyu laughed heartily. After a while she asked, where's your family's Bailey Yin? Did he fly back from the United States? No, he's very busy with work. However, he sent me a gift by air. Although Li Duobao felt a little regretful, she did not blame Bailey Yin in the slightest. She knew that he was working hard for the future of the two of them. Oh, this guy is not bad. You guys have a good life. I support you. Rin Yuyu initially did not think highly of Bailey Yin. However, in the past 2 months, she had seen how well he treated Duobao. He seemed to have really turned over a new leaf, so she gradually changed her attitude towards him. Yuyu is the best. Yuyu, you have to work hard. I'll wait for your triumphant return. Don't worry, there won't be a problem. Duobao, I'm going to prepare. I'll call you after the competition. Li Duobao was very happy. His best friend had finally recognized Bailey Yin. She happily hummed a little tune and happily ran into the bathroom to wash up. Li Duobao's mother's name was Wuxia, and his stepfather's name was Zhao Dai. The two of them had a son who was currently studying in a foreign university. The couple ran a small shop together and lived quite comfortably. Zhao Dai looked honest and treated Wuxia and Li Duobao very well, but he liked to drink. Li Duobao was most afraid of him drinking, and every time he got drunk he would say some strange things, do some strange things, and even insult Wuxia. When he woke up he would cry and apologize to Wuxia. And for the sake of the children, Wuxia would often forgive him. Li Duobao walked into the house with a faint sense of uneasiness, but she did not expect that what greeted her would be a nightmare. Awesome novel Xinwu 799. Chapter 397. Li Duobao walked into the house with a faint sense of uneasiness, but she did not expect that what greeted her would be a nightmare. Duobao, you're back. The person who opened the door for her was her stepfather, Zhao Dai. His face was full of smiles as he enthusiastically took the gifts in her hands. Just go home. Why did you buy so many things? Come in. Li Duobao sweetly called out. Dad. She changed into her slippers, looked around and asked, Dad, where's my mom? Your mom just went downstairs to buy soy sauce. Come and sit. Zhao Dai put his arm around her shoulder and walked to the sofa. Li Duobao followed him to the sofa and sat down. He smiled and said, sit down first. I'll go wash the fruits. Your mom bought a lot of your favorite things. Li Duobao did not want him to be busy, so she quickly stood up and said, Dad, you rest. I'll go wash it. Zhao Dai smiled kindly. Duobao, you're usually outside. It's been hard on you. When you get home, rest well. Be good and sit down to watch TV. I'll be back soon. All right then, Dad. Sorry to trouble you. Silly child, don't be so polite with me. Zhao Dai laughed heartily, walked into the kitchen, and took out fruits from the fridge. After washing them, he brought them to the living room and filled a fruit plate with walnuts, pistachios, and other snacks. He placed them all in front of her and greeted her warmly. Duobao, eat quickly. And okay, Dad, you eat too. Duobao took an orange, peeled it, and handed it to him. Dad, eat an orange. Okay. Zhao Dai smiled until his eyes narrowed into slits. The father and daughter sat on the sofa, eating fruits and chatting. After more than 10 minutes, the sound of the door unlocking came from the door. Wuxia leaned in with a convenience bag in her hand. Li Duobao put down the things in her hand and ran to her quickly. She leaned into her arms like a child and said, "Mom, I'm back." Wuxia beamed and stroked her hair. "Silly girl, you're still like a child." She stared at Duobao's face for a long time. "Oh, why did you lose weight? Your face is small. Have you not been eating well recently?" Li Duobao rubbed her bun face and said coquettishly, "Mom, my face has always been so round. How did I lose weight? If I really lost weight, I'd be happy." Wuxia patted her on the head. "Girls are so cute when they're round and have good fortune. Don't learn from them and lose weight. You'll lose weight like an all." "Of course. Of you. Of course. Of you, of you. Of you." Li Duobao sat next to Wuxia and intimately hugged her arm. The family of three chatted happily and the atmosphere was very harmonious. Wuxia often talked about her daughter's marriage. She sighed and said, "Bao, you're not young anymore. When you bring back a boyfriend for your parents, we'll be satisfied." Li Duobao looked at her mother's eager gaze. She almost couldn't help but tell them about her relationship, but she held back. If her parents asked about Bai Liyun's personal situation, they might object to them being together. It would be better to wait for Bai Liyun to settle down in the country before telling them about it. Li Duobao shook Wuxia's arm. "Mom, don't worry. I'm still young. It's not like I can't get married." Zhao Dai laughed. "That's right, Xia. Bauer is still young. Don't always rush her. Young people nowadays pay attention to their career before they start a family." Wuxia poked Li Duobao's forehead with her finger. "I can't win against the two of you. You father and daughter have teamed up to deal with me. Mom is the best. Mom, don't worry. I will definitely live up to your expectations." After these 2 months of getting along, Li Duobao became more and more confident in Bai Liyun. She believed that their relationship would blossom. "That's good. Don't let Mom wait too long." Wuxia stroked the back of her hand in relief. During dinner, Zhao Dai took out a bottle of beer as usual and said happily, "Today is Duobao's birthday. It's a good day. Let's drink some wine to celebrate." "Old Zhao, drink less." Wuxia's face revealed a troubled expression. "I know. I haven't drunk for more than half a month. I'll drink 1 or 2 cups to satisfy my cravings." Zhao Dai laughed as he opened the beer and poured 3 full cups of wine. 1 cup of wine was placed in front of him, while the other 2 cups were given to Wuxia and Li Duobao. Zhao Dai raised his wine cup. "Come, let's toast first. We wish Duobao a happy birthday and a happy heart." "Thank you, Dad." Li Duobao and Wuxia could not drink. At most, they would get drunk after drinking a cup of beer. They only took 2 sips to show their sincerity. However, Zhao Dai was different. He raised his head and drank a cup of beer in a straightforward manner. Soon, he poured himself another cup. "Old Zhao, don't just drink. Eat more food, or else it won't be good for your stomach." Wuxia picked up some food and placed it in his bowl. "Eat, all of you eat. Don't worry about me." Zhao Dai greeted them with a smile. He ate 2 chopsticks of food and drank another cup of wine in the blink of an eye. "Dad, don't drink too much. It's not good for your health to drink too much." Li Duobao looked at him drinking and felt a little uneasy. He secretly glanced at Wuxia and saw that Wuxia's expression was also not good. She smiled stiffly and said, "Old Zhao Bao is right. Don't drink too much." Zhao Dai was not drunk yet. He shook his cup and said, "It's fine. This little bit of wine is nothing. I'm happy today, so let me drink a few more cups of wine." Since he had already said so, Wuxia did not want to embarrass him in front of her daughter, so she could only let him be. However, when he finished 2 bottles of wine, she could not help but say, "Old Zhao, you're drunk. Don't drink anymore." Zhao Dai was indeed drunk at the moment. He narrowed his eyes that were filled with vicissitudes of life and shouted in dissatisfaction, "Shut up. When men drink, women shouldn't interfere. I've never seen you so wishy-washy." Li Duobao's heart was filled with fear. She originally thought that the family would be able to reunite today, But she did not expect her stepfather's old habit to act up again. She quietly tugged at her mother's sleeve and said in a low voice, "Mom, don't say any more." She knew that the more her mother tried to persuade him, the more excited Zhao Dai would be, and he would start to insult her mother again. Wuxia obviously thought of this as well. She pursed her lips and swallowed her words of persuasion. "There's no more wine. Wuxia, quickly bring me more wine." Zhao Dai impatiently threw the empty wine bottle to the ground. With a bang, the wine bottle shattered and the glass shards scattered all over the ground. The sound was so loud that Li Duobao trembled in fright. Wuxia sighed. "Bauer, I think your father won't be able to stop for a while. Go back to your room first, I'll take care of him." "Mom, it's fine. I'll stay here with you." In Li Duobao's impression, Zhao Dai was the most drunk he had ever been, and even hit her mother. She already had a shadow in her heart, and did not dare to leave her mother here alone. "What are you two talking about? Hurry up and bring me the wine." Zhao Dai fiercely slapped the table. All right, don't worry. I'll bring you the wine right away." Wuxia quickly got up and went to the kitchen to get the wine. If she was a step late, Zhao Dai would scold her again. Zhao Dai cursed nonstop. Li Duobao looked at the glass shards on the floor and silently took a broom and shovel over, intending to clean up the shards. A few of the shards were right beside Zhao Dai's feet. Li Duobao was worried that the shards would scratch his feet, so he cleaned them very carefully. Suddenly he stepped on the broom and raised his head, looking at her and giggling. "Little girl, what's your name? You're so beautiful." All the memories of his strange words and actions after he was drunk surfaced in his mind. Li Duobao took 2 steps back in fear. "Dad, it's me. I'm Duobao." "You're drunk." "I'm not drunk. I'm very sober." "Duobao, my cute daughter." Zhao Dai suddenly stood up, took 2 steps forward, grabbed her arm and dragged her to his side. "Zhao Dai, what are you doing? Let go of your daughter." Wuxia came out of the kitchen and saw Zhao Dai grabbing his daughter's arm. She hurried forward and pushed him away. Zhao Dai staggered back a few steps, knocking over a chair and almost falling to the ground. He flew into a rage out of humiliation. His eyes were dyed with a layer of scarlet as he recklessly rushed up and fiercely slapped Wuxia's face as he roared, "You slut, how dare you push me?" His slap made Wuxia see stars, and in an instant, 5 red marks appeared on her face. It was not enough for him to slap her once, so he raised his arm and wanted to slap her again. Li Duobao hurriedly hugged his arm and shouted anxiously, "Dad, stop hitting her. You're drunk. Wake up. Get out of my way. I'm going to beat that slut to death today." Zhao Dai shook Li Duobao off with all his might, causing Li Duobao to almost crash into the dining table. When she stabilized her body, Zhao Dai had already reached out and pulled Wuxia over, pulling her hair and kicking her. Dad, I beg you, don't hit me anymore. Don't hit me anymore." Li Duobao was so scared that tears flowed down her face. She hugged Zhao Dai tightly from behind and shouted in panic, "Mom, how are you?" Wuxia's hair was still in Zhao Dai's hand, and her face was red and swollen. She grabbed Zhao Dai's hand and used all her strength to pry open his fingers. Just as she was about to break free from his hand, he suddenly picked up a beer bottle from the table and smashed it at her head. Bang! The beer bottle shattered. Blood slowly flowed down Wuxia's head. Her body swayed, and with a plop, she fell to the ground. Mom! Li Duobao let go of Zhao Dai and cried as she threw herself onto Wuxia. "Mom, how are you? Don't scare me. Hold on, I'll call an ambulance right away." Li Duobao was so scared that her heart almost stopped beating. Her entire body was trembling. She didn't know how she ran to the landline. When she picked up the phone and was about to make a call, an arm suddenly stretched out from behind and pulled her over. "Come and see." Songshu 566. Chapter 398. Li Duobao was shocked. She turned around and saw that it was Zhao Dai. His entire body reeked of alcohol as he pulled her into his embrace and laughed sinisterly. "Duobao, good baby. I've been missing you for a long time. Dad, I beg you, let me go. I want to call and save Mom. She's bleeding a lot." Li Duobao was completely flustered. In her eyes and mind, There was only the image of her mother lying on the ground injured. The bright red blood made her tremble in fear. She struggled with all her might, wanting to push him away. However, Zhao Dai was extremely strong. He grabbed her arm and flung her violently. She was thrown onto the sofa. Her head was dizzy from the impact. Before she could get up, Zhao Dai had already pounced on her and pressed her under his body. His tall body was completely pressed down on her. He laughed sinisterly as he opened his mouth that was filled with the smell of alcohol and kissed her. This was the first time Li Duobao had encountered such a thing. She was both flustered and frightened. She quickly turned her head away, causing him to kiss empty air. She pushed him away forcefully and cried, "Dad, don't be like this. I'm your daughter." Zhao Dai caressed her cheek with one hand and quickly pulled at her clothes with the other. He muttered, "Anyway, you're not my biological daughter. It doesn't matter. If it wasn't for you, I would have divorced your mother long ago. You bastard, get lost, don't touch me." His hand rubbed against her face like an ant. It was extremely disgusting. Li Duobao went crazy and bit his finger. He cried out in pain and the taste of blood filled her mouth, constantly reminding her that her mother was still lying on the floor unconscious. She had to quickly send her mother to the hospital. Zhao Dai suddenly swung his hand and slapped her. "You slut, you're just like your mother. I've raised you for so many years. It's only right for you to let me have a taste of the sweetness. Why are you pretending to be a chaste woman?" He forcefully opened her mouth and pulled his finger out of her mouth. He cursed and said all kinds of vulgar and shameless words. His slap was extremely forceful. Li Duobao's ears were buzzing and her cheeks were burning with pain. However, the pain on her body was far from the pain in her heart. She had always thought that her stepfather was just drunk, which was why he said such absurd things. Now, she understood that he was simply using alcohol to boost his courage and taking the opportunity to put his dirty thoughts into action. She was so sad. She actually recognized this kind of person as her father. She seriously respected him and loved him. He was not worthy at all. He was a beast in human skin. At this moment, he had already ripped off her dress. His dirty hands were caressing her skin. He even used his knee to push her legs apart. He anxiously took off his pants. Fear was like a tide, almost drowning her. At that moment, she suddenly heard a series of knocks on the door. She didn't know where it came from, but she didn't know where it came from. She suddenly raised her head and fiercely bumped into his chin. She used so much strength that she almost saw stars. Needless to say, Zhao Dai cried out in pain. He did not care about satisfying his beast hunger and reflexively covered his chin. Li Duobao took the opportunity to push him away and staggered towards the door. The knocking continued. As long as she opened the door, she would be saved. Zhao Dai chased after her and hugged her from behind. She cried out in horror, "Help, help! Slut, shut up!" Zhao Dai also heard the knocking. He covered her mouth with one hand and dragged her to the bedroom with the other. Li Duobao shook her head vigorously and hugged a huge porcelain vase, standing near the entrance in a panic. Bang! Bang! There was a loud knocking sound outside the door, accompanied by Bailey Yun's anxious shout. "Duobao, what happened? Duobao, answer me!" Li Duobao's tears gushed out of her eyes. It was Bailey Yun. He came. She did not expect him to come. He must have heard her cry for help. He must have come to save her. Zhao Dai did not seem to expect that someone would knock on the door for a long time, and no one would open the door for him. Not only did he not leave, he even used all his strength to knock on the door. Moreover, he seemed to be very familiar with Duobao. Just as he was stunned, Li Duobao suddenly stepped on the back of his foot. She used all her strength to push her head back and hit his face again. Zhao Dai's nose was almost crooked from the impact. Naturally, the strength in his hand also loosened. Li Duobao took the opportunity to escape. As she ran towards the door, she shouted, "Yun, I'm inside." She opened the door as fast as she could and threw herself into the arms of the anxious-looking Bailey Yun. She hugged him tightly and wailed. Her mouth was muffled as she said, "Yun, I'm so scared. Save my mother. Hurry up and save my mother." Her hair was messy, her clothes were ragged, her feet were bare, and there were obvious wounds on her face. She was in a sorry state. Bailey Yin did not need to think to know what had happened. He was so angry that he was about to explode. He threw away the flowers in his hand and hugged her tightly. His eyes were fixed on the man who was standing in the middle of the living room at a loss. He wanted to tear him into pieces. However, the most important thing now was not to teach that man a lesson, but to calm Duobao's emotions. He stroked her hair and whispered, "Duobao, it's okay. I'm here. Calm down and tell me. What happened to your mother?" Li Duobao leaned on his broad chest and tried her best to calm down. She hurriedly said, "Yin, my mother is injured. Hurry up and call an ambulance." Bailey Yin did not have time to say more. He quickly took out his phone from his pocket and dialed the emergency number. He took off his coat and put it on Li Duobao. He said, "Duobao, follow me. Don't be afraid. Let's go in and see your mother." Okay. Li Duobao held his hand tightly and followed him into the room. When she passed by Zhao Dai, her whole body trembled, and she did not dare to look at him. Bailey Yun's heart was about to break. He held her hand and said softly, "Duobao, go in first. I'll be right there." She nodded in panic and ran to the dining room. "Who are you? Who told you to meddle in other people's business?" Zhao Dai accused Bailey Yun angrily. Bailey Yun rubbed his fists and said coldly, "I'm Duobao's boyfriend. I've been wanting to hit you for a long time." With that, he suddenly waved his fist and fiercely punched Zhao Dai to the ground. Zhao Dai lay on the ground, unable to move for a long time. Bailey Yun looked at him coldly, stepped over him and walked towards the dining room. Wuxia lay motionless on the floor. Her cheeks swollen and the blood on her forehead had already coagulated. Li Duobao helped her tidy up her hair and cried in fear, "Mother, please don't let anything happen to you. Hold on, the ambulance will be here soon." Bailey Yin frowned. He checked her breathing and heaved a sigh of relief. He said softly, "Duobao, don't be afraid. Your mother is fine. Help me get a basin of hot water. I'll help her clean her wounds." "Oh, okay." With him by his side, Li Duobao seemed to have found his backbone. His flustered heart calmed down a lot, and he quickly ran to the bathroom to get hot water. Bailey Yin carried Wuxia to the sofa and laid her flat. He carefully examined the wound on her head. It was about 3 to 4 centimeters long. That scum Zhao Dai was really ruthless. Bailey Yin was furious. He secretly made up his mind that he would definitely not let him off. Li Duobao brought the hot water over and squatted at the side to watch him wash his mother's face. He smiled at her comfortingly. "Duobao, believe me, your mother will be fine. Go to the room and change your clothes. The ambulance will be here soon." Okay. If he hadn't reminded her, she would have forgotten how pathetic she looked right now. After changing her clothes, she walked out of the room and found Zhao Dai standing at the door of her room. She screamed in fear and Bailey Yin quickly rushed over. Without saying a word, he punched Zhao Dai's face again. "Bastard, you actually want to bully Duobao." After knocking Zhao Dai to the ground, Bailey Yin kicked him angrily. Cough cough, I didn't. Zhao Dai curled up into a ball in pain. "Stop hitting me. I just want to talk to Duobao." Bailey Yin raised his head and looked at Li Duobao. Is what he said true? Li Duobao hugged his arm in fear. I don't know. When I saw him here, I was shocked and couldn't help but cry out. Bailey Yin grabbed her shoulders, looked down at Zhao Dai and said coldly, "What else do you want to say at a time like this?" Because of the pain, Zhao Dai's face was distorted. He said pitifully, "Duobao, I didn't mean to hurt you and your mother. I just drank too much. Please forgive me. I won't drink anymore." "I don't want to hear you say it, and I won't forgive you." When he was bullying her just now, the words he said had broken her heart. "Duobao, I beg you, please forgive me. All these years, I have never treated you and your mother unfairly. I was just drunk and confused. I definitely didn't mean to hurt you." Zhao Dai got up in a sorry state and begged for her forgiveness humbly. Bailey Yin snorted. "Save these words for the police. Duobao, don't believe what he said. Let's go take care of your mother." He put his arm around her shoulders and walked towards the living room. Zhao Dai followed behind him pitifully, apologizing nonstop and saying soft words. "Duobao, think about it. When you were young, you were weak and sick, and I often carried you to the hospital in the middle of the night. Once, you had a high fever and your mother was busy with work, so I stayed by your side and watched over you for an entire night. Have you forgotten how good I was to you? Your mother is also old. If I really go to jail, who will take care of her? And Xian, don't you like this little brother the most? Can you bear to let his father go to jail? Duobao, even if you don't give me face, please give Xian face and spare me this time. As Zhao Dai spoke, he actually started to cry. He slapped himself and shouted, "It's all my fault. I've let you and your mother down. Come and see." Hongcha 866. Chapter 399. Don't say anymore, don't say anymore. Li Duobao cried out loud. Why did you become like this? In my eyes, you are like my biological father. Why did you treat me like this? I hate you. I don't want to see you again. Go. Sadness, pain, fear, and many negative emotions intertwined in her heart, fermented and finally burst out. She broke down and cried bitterly, pushing Zhao Dai away. Zhao Dai staggered back a few steps and stared blankly at Li Duobao, who was crying bitterly. Duobao, I'm sorry, I was really confused for a moment. Go away, I don't want to talk to you. Li Duobao covered her mouth and cried, leaving Zhao Dai, who was standing there in a daze, and went to the dining room to take care of her mother. The blood on Wuxia's face had been wiped clean, and the swollen area from Zhao Dai's slap was even more obvious. Li Duobao bit her lips, and her heart ached so much that she cried. Bailey Yin put his arm around her shoulder and said, Duobao, is there a medicine box at home? Yes, I'll go get it right away. Li Duobao wiped her tears and quickly ran to the room to take out the medicine box. Bailey Yin used gauze to bandage Wuxia's head, and then used alcohol to disinfect the wound on her face. After all of this was done, the ambulance had already arrived, and the nurse carried Wuxia onto the stretcher. Bailey Yin and Li Duobao also followed in. Zhao Dai also wanted to follow, but Bailey Yin said with a calm face, Duobao and her mother don't want to see you. Bang! The car door closed close to Zhao Dai's nose, and he suddenly trembled. Inside the ambulance, the doctor gave Wuxia a simple examination. Li Duobao asked uneasily, Doctor, how is my mother? The external injuries are not very serious. After arriving at the hospital, do a head CT scan to see if there are any internal injuries. Thank you, doctor. Your mother will definitely be fine. Bailey Yin held her hand, and his gaze fell on her face. There were a few clear finger marks on her white cheeks, and he asked with heartache, Does the wound on your face still hurt? She forced a smile. It's fine, it doesn't hurt at all. If it hurts, just say it. You don't have to pretend in front of me. Bailey Yin released her hand, and took out a tube of ointment from his pocket. He unscrewed the cap and said, Come closer. I'll help you apply the ointment. Li Duobao guiltily glanced at the nurses and doctors in the ambulance and whispered, No need, I'm really fine. Bailey Yin turned a deaf ear to her words. He applied the ointment on his fingertips and lifted her chin with his other hand. Her face heated up and she subconsciously shrank back. He whispered, Don't move. It'll be done soon. Li Duobao quietly glanced around. The doctors and nurses were taking care of his mother very seriously, as if they didn't hear or see anything. Just as she was distracted, his fingers gently landed on her face. Little by little, he slowly rubbed the ointment into her skin. It's done. He stroked the hair by her ear and smiled. She pursed her lips. Why did you hide the ointment in your pocket? I specially left it for you. He was busy treating her mother's wounds and didn't have time to help her apply the ointment, so when the ambulance arrived, he casually put the ointment into his pocket. Li Duobao's heart was surrounded by a thick warmth. She stared into his deep eyes and smiled. The ambulance quickly arrived at the hospital and Wuxia was sent to the examination room. Bai Liyun accompanied her in the corridor as she waited. From time to time, she would uneasily raise her head and look at the examination room like a bird startled by the twang of a bow. His heart ached and he pitied her as he held her hand tightly, silently encouraging her and comforting her. The nurse pushed Wuxia out of the examination room. Li Duobao and Bai Liyun immediately went up to him. Doctor, how is my mother? The doctor smiled. There are no internal injuries. The head injury will be fine after 2 days of rest. You can go to the ward to accompany the patient now. All right, thank you. Sorry to trouble you. Li Duobao was finally relieved. Bailey Yun helped Wuxia register for a VIP ward. After the nurse sent her to the ward, she gave a few instructions and left. Bailey Yun raised his hand to look at the time. There was still 10 minutes to 12. There was still time. Li Duobao saw his actions and hurriedly said, "You've been on the plane for more than 10 hours. You must be very tired. Go back and rest early." His eyebrows curved. "I'll accompany you here. Close your eyes, I have a gift for you." She was startled. Smiling, Gigai closed her eyes. Bailey Yun took out something from his suit pocket, reached out and moved it behind her neck, and said softly, "All right, you can open your eyes now." Li Duobao looked down at his neck. It was a beautiful platinum necklace, and the pendant was an exquisite key. This key was embedded with a few broken diamonds, and under the light, it shone brightly. "Look here." Bailey Yun's magnetic voice sounded in his ears. She looked up at him, and saw that he was also wearing a necklace of the same style. The difference was that his pendant was a small lock. His thin lips curled up slightly, his eyes were full of smiles, and he said affectionately, "Duobao, this love lock represents my loyalty to you. I'll give you the key, and I'll only allow you to open my heart." Li Duobao stared at him, pursing his lips and giggling. Bailey Yun caressed her hair lovingly. "Silly girl. After hearing such a wonderful confession, why aren't you moved to throw yourself into my arms?" The smile on her face became even wider as she blinked. "Close your eyes, I also have a gift for you." "All right." Bailey Yun Gigai closed his eyes. His long eyelashes covered his lower eyelids, curled up like a butterfly flapping its wings. His high nose bridge cast a perfect shadow under the soft light, and his sexy thin lips were raised high with a hint of playfulness. Li Duobao tiptoed and slowly approached him. The closer she got, the faster her heart beat. Like a dragonfly skimming the water, she quickly pecked his lips and shyly turned her back. The room was very quiet, and she could almost only hear her own heartbeat. She didn't dare to look back at him. Bailey Yun was already stunned. He touched his lips. He was very sure that she had kissed him just now. He was cheering in his heart. This was the first time she had taken the initiative to kiss him, and it was on his lips. A smile slowly appeared in his eyes. He wrapped his arms around her waist from behind and chuckled softly. "The gift is very good. I like it very much." Li Duobao's back was pressed against his chest, her cheeks flushed red. After a while, she stretched out a finger and gently poked his arm. She whispered, "I thought you wouldn't come back." Bailey Yun hugged her tightly and said in a deep voice, "I originally wanted to give you a surprise, but now, I'm glad that I came back in time." If he hadn't arrived in time, he was really afraid that she would have been hurt. "Thank you." She said these two words heavily, her eyes slightly red. "Silly girl, there's no need for those 2 words between us." He kissed her hair and said softly, "What do you plan to do? Do you want to call the police?" She glanced at her unconscious mother and shook her head. "I don't know. I want to wait for my mother to wake up before I make any plans." If her mother still loved that man and didn't want her to call the police, then she would follow her mother's wishes. "You're so silly. That kind of man should be taught a lesson." Bailey Yun hugged the little woman in his arms even tighter, and felt even more sorry for her for thinking about her mother. "My mother has done a lot for me. I want her to be happy." Bailey Yun felt that it was unfair, but now that she's been hurt like this by that man, who knows if she'll be hurt again in the future? "I think we should make a prompt decision to leave that man." Li Duobao patted the back of his hand comfortingly. "All right, why are you even angrier than me? Mom will wake up tomorrow. We'll make plans then. Be good." He weakly rubbed her hair. "All right, I'll listen to you, little fool." "I'm not stupid." She turned around and protested with her eyes wide open. All right. You're not stupid. You're just a little dumb." Bailey Yin patted her head and smiled mischievously. Li Duobao said, Yin, you should go home. I'll stay here alone." She pointed to the only accompanying bed. Moreover, only one person can sleep here. It's fine if the two of us stay together. Bai Liyun shrugged his shoulders indifferently. How could he be at ease leaving her here alone? She waved her hands. That's not good. Are you worried that I'll do something to you? His foxy eyes narrowed dangerously, as if he would teach her a lesson if she dared to nod her head. Of course I believe that you won't do anything to me, but there's a difference between men and women. It's not appropriate for us to squeeze on the same bed. She emphasized the last 3 words, wanting him to realize the seriousness of the problem. He touched his chin and nodded. All right then. I'll sleep on the sofa and you sleep on the bed. Actually, it's really not necessary. You can go home and rest comfortably. She actually didn't want to see him working so hard, but she was too embarrassed to say it out loud. Shoo. He raised his index finger to her lips and chuckled. Don't argue. I won't change my mind. Yigai, go to sleep. Li Duobao lay on her side on the bed and looked at Bai Liyun curled up on the sofa. She felt warm and comforted. In the morning, she woke up to a very low and soft conversation. When she opened her eyes, she saw her mother and Bai Liyun huddled together and talking in a low voice. She quickly turned over and sat up. Mom, how are you? Do you feel uncomfortable anywhere? Mom is very good. Wuxia smiled and waved at her. Bauer, come here. Li Duobao replied with an oh, quickly put on her shoes and ran to the bedside. Bai Liyun made room for her and sat on the chair next to her. Mom, that. She looked at Bai Liyun apologetically. This is my friend. Bai Liyun's face darkened. Friend? Was he such an unpresentable boyfriend? Attention, Songshu 566. Chapter 400. Bai Liyun's face darkened. Friend? Was he such an unpresentable boyfriend? Wuxia was stunned for a moment, then suddenly laughed. Bauer, you're still hiding it from me. I know Yin is your boyfriend. Li Duobao's eyes widened. Her gaze moved back and forth between Bai Liyun and Wuxia. In the end, it stopped at Bai Liyun. You told my mom? Bai Liyun raised his chin proudly, obviously dissatisfied with her introduction just now. However, in front of Wuxia he did not flare up, and his tone sounded extremely gentle. I've already told Aunt. Duobao, don't worry, Aunt supports us very much. That's right, this is a good thing. Bauer, why did you hide it from me? Wuxia patted the back of Li Duobao's hand in rebuke. She laughed dryly. Well, I don't think the time is right, so I hid it from you for the time being. Wuxia rolled her eyes at her. The time is not right? Don't tell me you're waiting until you're about to get married to tell me? No. Li Duobao hugged her arm and acted coquettishly. All right, I'll tell you the truth. Actually, I'm worried that you won't agree to us being together. Why wouldn't I agree? Yin is a good person, has a good appearance and treats you well. I can't be happier. Wuxia smiled from ear to ear. She really treated Bai Liyun as her son-in-law. And the more she looked at him, the more she liked him. Li Duobao looked at Bai Liyun with admiration. He was too amazing to actually make his mother stand on his side in such a short period of time. Bai Liyun proudly brushed the hair on his forehead and gave her a look that said, I'm amazing. She nodded heavily to show her affirmation and admiration for him. The corner of his mouth rose high as he stood up confidently and smiled. Auntie, you and Duobao must be hungry. I'll go out and buy breakfast. What do you want to eat? Wuxia laughed and said, anything is fine. Bauer, you go with Yin. Bai Liyun laughed. No need, Auntie. Let Duobao stay with you. I'll be back soon. If you need anything else, let Duobao call me. I'll bring it back. All right. Wuxia smiled until her eyes narrowed into slits. She secretly pinched Duobao's waist, indicating for her to send him off. Li Duobao puffed his cheeks, sent Bai Liyun, and asked curiously, what did you say to my mother? She seems to like you. Bai Liyun knocked on her forehead and snorted. Let's not talk about this first. You actually refused to introduce my boyfriend to your mother. Li Duobao covered his forehead in grievance. I was really worried that Mom wouldn't accept you. His face darkened. Do you think that my background and my past are a disgrace? Do you think your mother would care? No, of course not. That's not what I'm worried about. Li Duobao explained anxiously. My mother has always said that she wants me to marry an ordinary and honest man, but you come from a rich family and are the CEO of a big company. Furthermore, we are separated by 2 different places, so I'm worried that she won't agree. I originally planned to wait for you to return to the country and settle down before telling my mother. Bai Liyin stared at her without saying a word. She was so anxious that she was about to cry. She pulled his arm and shook it. Really, I'm telling the truth. You have to believe me. A smile appeared in his eyes as he held her hand. His voice was gentle. Am I very outstanding? She quickly nodded. In my eyes, you are the most outstanding. So, do you believe what I said? Little fool. Bai Liyin pulled her into his arms and hugged her tightly. You are the silliest little fool I have ever seen, my little fool. Li Duobao laughed through her tears. She was both angry and amused as she punched his back. I'm a fool, you're a fool. We are a match made in heaven. Yes, we are a match made in heaven. Bai Liyin kissed her forehead and reluctantly let go of her. Go in and accompany your mother. I'll be back soon. I'm okay. She waved at him and smiled sweetly. Li Duobao pushed the door open and walked into the ward. Wuxia stared at her with a smile, causing her to blush. Mom, don't look at me like that. My daughter has finally grown up and is in love. Wuxia pulled her to sit beside her and wiped her eyes. Mom wants to laugh, but also wants to cry. Bauer, Mom can't bear to part with you. Mom, don't be like this. I'm not getting married. I'm still by your side. Li Duobao hugged her shoulders and comforted her. Yeah, look at me. I'm old and muddle-headed. Wuxia smiled sadly. Li Duobao leaned her head on her shoulder. Mom, I thought you wouldn't accept Ayun. Wuxia thought of the first scene she saw when she woke up and laughed. The first time I saw him, I felt that this child was not bad. He was good to my daughter, so I can hand you over to him without worry. Li Duobao mischievously blinked. No way, you just looked at him and made such a big decision? Wuxia patted the back of her hand and laughed. When I woke up, I just happened to see Ayun sitting up from the sofa. I was still puzzled at that time, thinking, who is this? I don't know him either. I was just about to call him, but I didn't expect him to quietly walk to your bedside, put your exposed hand under the blanket, and even pinch the corner of the blanket for you. Li Duobao's lips curled up. Wuxia continued. Later, when he found out that I was awake, he politely greeted me and asked me if I was feeling unwell. When he spoke, his voice was also very low. He didn't want to wake you up. As she said that, she shook Li Duobao's hand hard. I saw how considerate he was to you. Even if he didn't say it, I could guess your relationship. Li Duobao hesitated for a moment and asked, Mom, if Ayun's family background is very good, will you oppose us? Wuxia said earnestly. In the past, Mother wanted you to marry someone of equal status because she didn't want you to be wronged. But now Mother has thought it through, whether it's a poor or rich family, there can be conflicts. The most important thing is whether the man you marry truly loves you. If he truly loves you, even if there are mountains of blades and seas of fire in front of you, you can cross them. Mom can see that Ayun really likes you. I support you. Mom, thank you. Li Duobao was moved and threw himself into her arms. The mother and daughter leaned against each other and talked for a while. Wuxia hesitated for a while and asked, Bauer, is your father okay? Li Duobao's body stiffened and his tone was not very good. He's fine, Mom. He hit you last night. Aren't you angry? Wuxia sighed. Your father is like this when he's drunk. I'm already used to it. Li Duobao bit his lips and struggled for a long time. There were some words that he could not say. Do you still want to forgive him? Wuxia's expression dimmed. So what if I don't forgive him? We're already an old couple, and the children are already grown up, Li Duobao said anxiously. But he hurt you so badly this time. Who knows what he will do next time? Wuxia was silent for a while, then said indifferently, maybe he knows his mistake this time and won't do it again. He didn't know if these words were to comfort his daughter or himself. Li Duobao pursed his lips and was about to say something when his phone suddenly rang. Looking at the caller ID, it was Xian. Xian's anxious voice was heard. Sis, is Mom hurt? How is she now? Xian, don't worry. Mom is fine now. That's good. Xian paused and said, Sis, are you really going to call the police and send Dad to jail? I'm not sure yet. Sis, please don't call the police. Dad is muddle-headed when he's drunk. He just accidentally hurt Mom. Can you and Mom forgive him this time? Li Duobao was a little angry and his tone was urgent. Xian, do you know how dangerous Mom's situation was at that time? He actually hit Mom's head with a beer bottle. What if he uses a kitchen knife next time? Sis, Dad has already sworn to me. He said that he will never drink again. He will definitely stop drinking. Let's trust him one more time, okay? I'm begging you, sis. I don't want Mom and Dad to get a divorce, and I don't want to see Dad go to jail. Sis, I'm begging you. Li Duobao's nose twitched, and tears uncontrollably flowed out of her eyes. She bit her lips tightly and controlled her emotions. Sis, I'm begging you. Don't call the police. When I graduate, I will go back to a city to take care of Mom and protect her. Sis, don't separate our family. Let us be together forever, okay? Tears rolled down her face. The scene of Zhao Dai slapping himself and begging for her forgiveness appeared in her mind. Her mother's words still echoed in her ears. She struggled for a long time in her heart, and finally choked out a word, okay. That's great. Thank you. Sis, I want to say a few words to Mom. Li Duobao wiped her tears and handed the phone to Wuxia. She forced a smile and said, Mom, it's Xian. He wants to talk to you. Bailey Yun carried a large bag of things and walked out of the elevator. He saw Li Duobao sitting alone in the corridor with her head lowered, revealing half of her white neck. She looked lonely. He sat beside her and reached out to rub her hair. He chuckled and said, Little fool, why are you sitting here? Li Duobao still lowered her head and remained silent. Bai Lian felt that something was wrong and used his finger to lift her chin up. What he saw was a face covered in tears. That pair of beautiful eyes were filled with tears. She bit her red lips and cried so sadly that his heart suddenly ached. He hurriedly wiped away her tears. Bauer, what's wrong? She threw herself into his arms and cried until she was out of breath. She didn't even tell him what had happened. He was so anxious that he was about to die. He caressed her back to comfort her, while wiping her tears. Bauer, be good. Don't cry anymore. Tell me what happened. Beauty novel Hongchai 866. Chapter 401. Li Duobao sobbed for a while and said intermittently, Zhao Dai is in the ward now, begging for my mother's forgiveness. He even brought out my brother, Xian, to plead for mercy for him. My mother and I have decided to forgive him, but I'm very uneasy. I'm really afraid that he'll hurt my mother again when he's drunk. Yesterday, she saw with her own eyes that Zhao Dai had beaten her mother with a beer bottle. He even wanted to humiliate her and say those words to her. At that time, she was really terrified. Bailey Yun's expression changed slightly. He put his arm around her shoulder and whispered, Do your mother and brother know that you were bullied by Zhao Dai? She shook her head and choked. I've been hiding it from them. Bailey Yun frowned. Why didn't you tell them? I don't know how to tell them about this. Also, what if he's really just drunk and confused? Bai Liyun's eyes moved slightly. He looked thoughtfully at the closed door of the ward, patted her shoulder, and said, Duobao, don't worry. Leave this matter to me. Li Duobao looked at him in confusion. How do you want to deal with it? He curled his lips and said slowly, Follow your mother and Xian's opinions first. Trust Zhao Dai again. If you miss your mother, bring her to your little house and don't go home again. As for Zhao Dai, I'll send someone to monitor him. If he really has bad intentions, he'll show his tail one day. Li Duobao hesitated. Isn't that not good? If I bring my mother out, she'll definitely think that I have something against Zhao Dai. Little fool, this matter can be handled flexibly. You can choose to visit her when Zhao Dai isn't at home. He stared deeply into her eyes and said slowly, Duobao, I don't want you to get hurt. Promise me that you won't take any risks at any time. She nodded heavily. Okay, I got it. Good girl. He smiled and rubbed her hair. The door to the ward suddenly opened, and Zhao Dai walked out with red eyes. He gently closed the door and walked to Li Duobao. He said uneasily, Duobao, thank you for not telling your mother about how I hurt you. Thank you for forgiving me. Li Duobao turned her head and didn't look at him. She wanted to act cold, but she couldn't. She bit her lips and said, I hid that matter for the sake of my mother and Xian. You'd better remember your promise, stop drinking, and treat my mother well. Otherwise, I won't let you off. Okay, I know. I won't drink anymore. I won't do anything to hurt your mother and you. I promise. Zhao Dai quickly raised his palm and swore. Li Duobao ignored him and tugged at Bai Liyun's arm. Yin, let's go in and see Mom. All right. Bai Liyun wrapped his arm around her waist. He didn't even look at Zhao Dai as he walked past him. Wang Xia said that she was fine, and insisted on being discharged from the hospital that day. Bai Liyun drove them home. Zhao Dai had been taking care of her, and asking about her well-being. He even went to the market to buy fresh fish to make soup for her. Li Duobao saw this and gradually believed that he was truly repentant. Bai Liyun didn't let his guard down. He specially asked Bai Lihan to lend him the Dragon Gang for a period of time. He sent people to follow and monitor Zhao Dai to prevent him from hurting Wang Xia and Duobao again. Besides celebrating Duobao's birthday, Bai Liyun also had an important purpose for returning to the country. In the car, Li Duobao looked at the unfamiliar scenery outside the window and asked curiously, Where are you taking me? He turned to look at her and smiled. Although it's not very formal, I've already visited your mother, so this time I'm taking you to visit my mother. No way. Why didn't you say so earlier? Li Duobao quickly took out a makeup mirror from her handbag and checked her makeup and outfit. Is it okay for me to dress like this? What does Auntie like? What gifts should we bring? Also, what kind of girl does she like? Will she think I'm not beautiful enough? Bai Liyun was amused by her repeated questions and laughed. Duobao, why are you so nervous? Although my mother is a bit long-winded, she definitely won't object to the girl I like. Don't worry. Really? Then what gifts should we bring? I'm ready. You don't have to worry. He smiled comfortingly. You just have to be yourself. My mother will definitely like you. Li Duobao muttered softly. But I'm still worried. This was her first time in a relationship, and her first time visiting her boyfriend's mother. Of course, she was worried that she wouldn't be liked. Don't worry, I'll take care of everything. Bai Liyun rubbed her hair and smiled dotingly. Lu Xiaoxiao lived in the villa area in the north of the city. This was the villa that Bai Lixiong had bought for her. In the past, Bai Lixiong would stay with her for 2 days every month, but after this year's spring festival, Bai Lixiong had never visited again. Before Bai Liyun returned to the country, he had already mentioned to Lu Xiaoxiao that he would bring his girlfriend to visit. So early in the morning, she got the servants to start preparing and tidying up the villa. She also changed into her favorite clothes, pushed away all the card games and dinner parties, and sat at home to wait. The red sports car slowly drove into the front yard. Bai Liyun opened the car door and got out of the car while holding Li Duobao's hand. His other hand was holding a large bouquet of perfumed lilies. 2 servants ran to the door with smiles on their faces. Young master, you're back. Madam has been waiting for you for a long time. Bai Liyun smiled and nodded. Mother Wu, motherly, this is Li Duobao, my girlfriend. The 2 servants quickly bowed and greeted. Hello, Miss Li. Li Duobao smiled shyly. Hello. Young master, Miss Li, please come in. Madam has been waiting for you in the living room for a long time. Bai Liyun held Li Duobao's hand and followed the servants into the living room. On the sofa sat a beautiful lady. She wore a dark red cheongsam and a white shawl. Her facial features were exquisite, and her skin was fair. There were no traces of age on her. Her pair of noble phoenix eyes were slightly raised, and her every frown and smile was filled with charm. Li Duobao finally understood where Bai Liyun's beauty came from. Mom, this is Duobao, my girlfriend. Duobao, this is my mom. Bai Liyun stretched out his arm elegantly and introduced them to each other with a smile. Li Duobao bowed graciously and smiled sweetly. Hello, Auntie. Lu Xiaoxiao's lips curled into a smile as she sized up Li Duobao without batting an eyelid. She slowly nodded her head. Hello, Miss Li, don't just stand there. Please take a seat. Mother Wu served tea. Thank you. Li Duobao pursed her lips and smiled. She sat opposite Bei Liyun. Bei Liyun placed the perfume lily in front of Lu Xiaoxiao. Mom, this is for you. Do you like it? Lu Xiaoxiao was stunned. She smiled brightly and said, I like it. I haven't received flowers for many years. This was the first time her son had sent her flowers. It was also the first time he had spoken to her in such a pleasant manner. And this. Bei Liyun took out a small red velvet box from his pocket. This is for you. Open it and take a look. Miss Li, why are you so polite? The smile on Lu Xiaoxiao's face widened. She took the box and opened it. Her eyes were immediately filled with amazement. This is too beautiful. Inside the box was a butterfly-shaped diamond brooch. She didn't know what mechanism it was, but after she opened the box, the butterfly's wings actually fluttered, and the diamonds on it reflected a bright light under the sun. Miss Li, you're too polite. How can I accept such an expensive gift? Lu Xiaoxiao was used to seeing jewelry. She knew that this brooch was expensive. Her charming phoenix eyes were full of smiles. Although she refused, she was very happy in her heart. Li Duobao glanced at the brooch and then at Bei Liyun, who was smiling. She couldn't help but say, actually that brooch isn't mine. Bei Liyun interrupted her and said with a smile, Mom, Duobao heard me mention that you like butterflies, so she specially chose this butterfly brooch for you. This is her kindness. You don't have to be polite. Li Duobao's lips moved. She wanted to say something, but Bei Liyun secretly held her hand. I see. Duobao, you're really considerate. Since that's the case, I'll accept it. Lu Xiaoxiao naturally changed the way she addressed Li Duobao. She smiled from ear to ear, and seemed to be very satisfied with her. At first, Li Duobao was still a little uneasy. She was a little restrained when facing Lu Xiaoxiao. However, Lu Xiaoxiao was very good at livening up the atmosphere. She talked about Bei Liyun's childhood and aroused Li Duobao's curiosity. The two of them sat side by side and looked at his childhood photos, laughing happily from time to time. The corners of Bei Liyun's lips curled up. He went behind them and pointed at the little baby in the picture in a flowery dress. He asked in surprise, Mom, who is this little girl? Lu Xiaoxiao and Li Duobao burst into laughter at the same time. Lu Xiaoxiao laughed until tears were about to flow out of her eyes. She pointed at the little baby and said, Duobao, look. Ayun doesn't remember what happened when he was young at all. That's right. He didn't even recognize that the little girl in the dress is himself. Duobao laughed softly on Lu Xiaoxiao's arm. Bei Liyun was speechless. He took the photo album from their hands and said in disbelief, This is me? Lu Xiaoxiao and Li Duobao nodded in unison. It's you, Lu Xiaoxiao said. When you were young, you looked like a little girl. You were tender, so I dressed you up as a girl. After I carried you out, no one recognized that you were a boy. She laughed as she spoke, as if she was very proud of her actions. The corner of Bei Liyun's mouth twitched. This kind of photo must be destroyed. He didn't want that kind of embarrassing photo to be left in the world. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 402. Don't. I think it's very cute and interesting. Auntie, can you give this photo to me? Li Duobao blinked his big watery eyes and asked pitifully. Of course you can. Duobao, take this photo. If Ayun bullies you in the future, use this photo to threaten him. Lu Xiaoxiao generously took out the photo from the album and handed it over to Li Duobao. Li Duobao chuckled. Auntie, you're right. I will definitely keep it well. Hey, the two of you are teaming up to bully me now. Why is my life so miserable? Bai Liyun purposely acted as if he was holding his heart. His face even revealed a heartbroken expression. Unfortunately, his smiling eyes betrayed his current mood. It's useless to act cute and spoiled. I will definitely keep it well. Li Duobao naughtily wrinkled his nose at him, hugged the photo and kissed it. Then he put it into his handbag like a treasure. Duobao, you're too heartless. I'm your boyfriend. Can't you let me have my way? Bailey Yin reached out and pressed his head. Lu Xiaoxiao watched them tease each other, and her eyes were filled with smiles. After lunch, Bailey Yin accompanied Li Duobao for a stroll in the garden. Lu Xiaoxiao sent a servant to call him to the study room. Bai Lian walked into the study and saw Lu Xiaoxiao standing in front of the floor-to-ceiling window. From this angle, he could see the situation in the garden. He walked to her side and looked out. Duobao was squatting on the lawn and playing with the pet dog. The man and the dog were playing happily. Lu Xiaoxiao turned to look at him and smiled. This girl is not bad. Bailey Yin crossed his arms and smiled lazily. You won't object to us, right? Lu Xiaoxiao laughed at herself. Do you care about my opinion? All these years, when have you ever listened to me? Bailey Yin shrugged casually. You are my mother. No matter what, I still hope to get your approval. Lu Xiaoxiao's exquisite face revealed a touch of sadness. Yin, are you still unwilling to forgive me? Bailey Yin's lips curled into a faint smile. Mom, let bygones be bygones. Don't mention it again. Mom, there's something I've wanted to tell you for a long time, but I was too embarrassed to say it. As your son, I also hope that you can be happy. Yin. Lu Xiaoxiao was slightly startled. A layer of mist quickly appeared in her phoenix eyes. Her fingertips trembled as they landed on his handsome face. Mom is very happy, very happy. Bailey Yin held her hand on his cheek and said slowly, Mom, leave Bailey Xiong and start your life afresh. Her long eyelashes fluttered, and tears fell from her eyes. Okay. Bailey Yin hugged her and said in a low voice, Mom, your son can support you now. You don't have to live a life of dependence anymore. Mom knows, Mom knows. Lu Xiaoxiao nodded with tears streaming down her face. For the sake of money, she became the third party that everyone despised. She also made her son an inferior illegitimate son. In fact, she understood that her son was cold to her because he didn't want her to continue on that path. However, she had long fallen in love with that man. She fantasized that one day she would enter the house and go from being the third party to being the legal wife. However, Bailey Xiong had already lost interest in her. He hadn't come to see her for more than half a year. It was time for her to cut off all ties with him. After a long while, Lu Xiaoxiao wiped her tears and glanced at Li Duobao, who was still playing with the puppy. She smiled. Yin, you bought that butterfly brooch, right? Bailey Yin raised his eyebrows and said in a light tone. You saw through it? Lu Xiaoxiao looked at him coquettishly. Do you think Mom is blind? I saw Duobao's hesitant look. Bailey Yin touched his nose in embarrassment. Why didn't you expose him in front of everyone? This isn't like you. Lu Xiaoxiao poked his forehead with her finger and scolded jokingly. My son wants to act with Mom. What else can Mom do? Of course, she will continue acting according to your wishes. Bailey Yin's lips curled up and he quickly said, Thank you, Mom. Lu Xiaoxiao patted his arm and smiled with relief. Yin, Mom is really happy to see you like this. Duobao is a good girl. Cherish her. Mom wishes you both happiness. Bailey Yin's eyebrows curved. We will. At around 4 in the afternoon, Bailey Yin left with Li Duobao. Lu Xiaoxiao stood at the gate and waved her hand. She watched their car drive away until she couldn't see the shadow of the car anymore. Then she turned around and returned to the villa. There was a hint of loneliness in her eyes. In the car, Li Duobao pouted. Why did you lie? You bought the brooch for Auntie. Bailey Yin smiled. Originally, I wanted to give you more points in front of my mother. I didn't expect her to know that I bought the brooch. Li Duobao's eyes widened. Then does she hate me? Silly, how is that possible? My mother said that she likes you very much and that you are a good girl. She told me to cherish you. Here, that's a gift from my mother. Open it and take a look. Bailey Yin gestured for her to open the storage box. Inside was a red velvet box. Inside the box was a jade bracelet. It was dark green and as gentle as water. It was obviously not an ordinary item. Li Duobao held the box as if it was a hot potato. She felt very uncomfortable. She went to visit her elders and didn't give them any gifts. Instead, she received such a precious gift. Bailey Yin looked at her and chuckled. My mother said that this was given to her by my grandmother. It is our family's heirloom. She has officially passed it to you. When we have a daughter in the future, you will pass it to our daughter. This was tantamount to admitting her identity. She stroked the jade bracelet. Her heart was filled with joy. Because of his blunt words, she was a little shy. Her delicate face was tinged with a faint blush. She said softly, "Thank your mother for me. I will definitely take good care of this bracelet." "Okay, I will tell her. She will definitely be very happy. Duobao, my grandmother, brother, and sister-in-law all know about us. When will you meet them?" "I'm okay." Li Duobao hesitated for a moment and asked, "Does Xiaobao know? Will he oppose us?" Bailey Yun raised his eyebrows in amusement. "Guess." She pouted. "How can I guess? Don't keep me in suspense." Xiaobao didn't agree or disagree. He said that he wants to meet you. Let's go see him now. Bailey Yin calculated the time. If they rushed to the kindergarten now, they would be just in time to pick up Xiaobao from school. Outside the kindergarten, Bailey Yin saw Xiaodong's car. He led Li Duobao to her car, and bent down to knock on Xiaodong's car window. Xiaodong opened the car door and got out. She smiled and said, "Yin, this is your family's Duobao, right?" "Hello Duobao. I am Yun's sister-in-law Xiaodong." Li Duobao blushed and quickly held Xiaodong's outstretched hand. "Hello Mrs. Bailey." Xiaodong joked. "Duobao, don't be so polite. Just call me Xiaodong. Or you can be like Yin and call me sister-in-law." Li Duobao's cheeks turned even redder. He was as adorable as a red apple. Even Xiaodong had the urge to go up and touch him. Bailey Yin put his arm around Li Duobao's shoulder and teased him. "When did I call you sister-in-law? Don't be so bold. What if you scare my family's Duobao?" Xiaodong burst out laughing. "Yun, do you know that you look a little like Daodu now?" Bailey Yun's smile froze and his face darkened. He gritted his teeth and said, "We haven't seen each other for so long. Can't you say something nice? Like Daodu, that big dog? How could that be?" Xiaodong's eyes were full of mischievous laughter. "Let me finish. You look like Daodu protecting his food. You have a strong sense of possessiveness. This is good. This is really good. I'm praising you." Bailey Yun glared at her in annoyance. "Forget it, I won't argue with you. Who asked you to be my sister-in-law? It's not like I'll lose a piece of meat from being ridiculed by you." "Oh, you finally have some awareness of respecting the old and loving the young. Congratulations." Xiaodong stopped teasing him and looked at Li Duobao, saying, "Duobao, I heard that you're a flight attendant. Is your work very hard?" Although Li Duobao knew that Bailey Yin had once loved Xiaodong, she did not have the slightest bit of hostility towards her. Instead, she was attracted by the mature and wise charm that she exuded. From the bottom of her heart, she felt that Xiaodong was a great woman. When interacting with her, Li Duobao no longer felt any pressure and was able to be himself. She smiled mischievously. "Actually, it's not bad. Every time we fly, we can rest for 2 days. However, during peak periods, our flying missions are more important. Sometimes, we have to go to work during the Spring Festival, so we can't reunite with our family." Xiaodong's tone was full of admiration. "You're so awesome. When I first took a plane, I was scared to death. But you guys flew all over the world. So cool." Li Duobao snickered. "Let me tell you a secret. Actually, when I first flew, I was also very scared. I was almost rejected by the airline." The two women gathered together and chatted happily. They did not have the sense of restraint that strangers should have. Instead, they left Bailey Yin hanging at the side. He did not know whether to laugh or cry. After the kindergarten was over, little Wingzi and his siblings walked over leisurely. Second uncle Xiao Yi and Xiao Guai were very excited to see Bailey Yin. They hugged his legs on each side. Xiao Bao was extremely calm. She calmly called out, "Daddy." Then, she raised her little head and stared at Li Duobao with her big eyes. Li Duobao laughed foolishly and waved his hand in greeting. "Xiao Bao, long time no see." Xiao Bao puffed up her cheeks and said calmly, "I can't call you big sister anymore." Li Duobao smiled awkwardly. "Yeah." Bailey Yin let go of Xiao Yi and Xiao Guai. He rubbed his son's head and smiled kindly. Good son, call me Auntie Duobao from now on. Xiaobao ignored him and continued to stare at Li Duobao. She asked seriously, will you abuse me in the future? TV dramas say that stepmothers abuse their children. Beauty novel, Hongcha 866. Chapter 403. Xiaobao ignored him and continued to stare at Li Duobao. She asked seriously, will you mistreat me in the future? TV shows say that stepmothers mistreat their children. This little guy was so direct. Bailey Yun and Xiaodong's lips twitched at the same time. Li Duobao squatted down and looked at him at eye level. There was a bright smile on her round apple-like face. Xiaobao, I like you a lot. Why would I mistreat you? Xiaobao asked seriously, really? She nodded heavily. Of course. He shrugged his little shoulders. Oh, then I'll allow you to be my stepmother. Thank you. She grinned, revealing her cute little white teeth. Her beautiful big eyes turned, and she suddenly puffed up her cheeks and asked, Xiaobao, will you bully me? TV shows say that children don't like stepmothers, so they bully them on purpose. Xiaobao patted her shoulder maturely and said seriously, Duobao, you have to look at the other party's IQ when you bully them. If the other party can't fight back, you won't feel good bullying them. So, I don't have to bully you at all. Li Duobao was startled. She said angrily, are you looking down on my IQ? Xiaobao's lips curled. Basically, you can assume that's what I mean. Wow, you're so despicable. I'm going to punish you. She blew air on her palms and then scratched his armpits with both hands to tickle him. Xiaobao was the most ticklish. She giggled and moved her little body. She said intermittently, stop tickling. If you tickle me again, I'll get angry. I'll really get angry. Okay, I won't tickle you anymore. Call me Auntie Duobao, and I'll let you go. Li Duobao squinted her eyes and smiled. Her expression was a little like a wolf grandmother who was trying to kidnap a child. Duo. Bao. Ah. Auntie. Xiaobao said each word clearly and rolled her eyes impatiently. Can you let go of me now? Xiaobao, you're the best. I love you so much. Li Duobao was so touched that tears welled up in his eyes. He hugged Xiaobao and kissed him on the cheek. Xiaobao wiped his face in disgust. Don't kiss me. If you want to kiss me, kiss my daddy. Women were so troublesome. When they were happy, they liked to hug him and kiss him fiercely. Li Duobao's face turned red, and his eyes widened. He deliberately put on a straight face and said, you're just a child. Don't talk nonsense in the future. Don't you feel ashamed? Xiaobao mumbled. I'm not the one who's embarrassed. Someone's blushing. Li Duobao's face turned even redder. In terms of bickering, even 10 Li Duobaos couldn't beat Xiaobao. Bailey Yun couldn't bear to watch any longer. He walked forward to help her out. He rubbed Xiaobao's hair and grinned. Son, Daddy will take you 3 out for dinner today. What do you want to eat? The 3 little guys expressed their opinions one after another. KFC. McDonald's. Seafood. Bailey Yin touched his chin. In the end, he agreed with Xiao Yi's opinion. Let's go and eat seafood. Xiao Bao and Xiao Guai were dissatisfied. They pouted and shouted. Why? Because KFC and McDonald's are junk food. It's not good for children to eat too much. Let's go and eat seafood. There are fragrant spicy prawns and spicy crabs. There's also delicious grilled fish. Oh, there's also delicious Christian carp soup. Whoever wants to go, quickly raise your hand and sign up. Mimi. The 3 of them raised their hands in unison. Okay, get in the car and fasten your seatbelts. Bailey Yin patted their little heads one by one and stuffed them into his sports car. He put his hands in his trouser pockets and grinned at Xia Dong. Do you want to go together? Xia Dong waved her hand exaggeratedly. No, I don't want to disturb your date. Duobao, goodbye. It was nice to meet you. Me too. Goodbye, Xia Dong. Li Duobao smiled and waved her hand. The children lowered the glass window and stuck out their little heads to wave goodbye to their mommy. Li Duobao's personality was cheerful and lively. She was full of childishness, so it was easy for her to get along with the children. They all liked her very much. Xiao Guai even called her little aunt very intimately. Although she was so shy that her face turned red, her heart was happy. After the little guys returned home, they kept praising Li Duobao in front of their elders. Of course, this was Bai Liyun's strategy. He wanted the family to have a good impression of Li Duobao before they met her. What he didn't expect was that Xia Dong also spoke up for Duobao. In front of the old madam and Bai Xiong, she praised Duobao for being kind and pure. How could the old madam not see through their tricks? She just pretended not to know and said with a smile, Yun, you didn't disappoint Grandma and got Duobao. Since that's the case, why don't you bring her back and let us meet her? Bai Liyun smiled calmly. Grandma, in order for all of you to accept her, I have to do a good job of laying the groundwork. The old madam waved her hand in amusement. All right, what's the point of laying the groundwork? Find some time and arrange for us to meet Duobao. Since Duobao is willing to accept a worrisome guy like you, we can't wait to burn incense to thank her. Why would we make things difficult for her? Bai Liyun cried out exaggeratedly. No way, Grandma. In your heart, am I that unlikable? The old madam looked him up and down and nodded seriously. You're just too likable. That's why we're worried. Duobao can be considered to have gotten rid of evil for the people. Aha! The three little guys burst into laughter. Xiao Bao repeated that phrase over and over again. Getting rid of evil for the people. Great Grandma, you described it so well. They could joke without restraint and expose their ugliest side without worrying about being despised. They could rely on each other when they were helpless and unite in the face of difficulties. This was family. Ever since the fight for Xiao Bao's custody, Bai Liyun had gradually understood the bond between family members. In the face of his family's jokes, he didn't get angry. Instead, he felt happy because they really treated him as a family. In June, Bai Liyun returned from the United States and arranged for his family to meet Li Duobao. Li Duobao wore a snow-white knee-length silk dress. Her silk-like hair casually draped over her bare shoulders. She looked fresh and natural. On her round cheeks, there was a bright smile. 2 cute dimples bloomed on her lips. Her beautiful big eyes were watery and full of spirit. She was prepared this time and specially prepared a gift for everyone. She gave the old madam a handkerchief hand-embroidered in Suzhou, an embroidered shawl for Bai Jinxiu, an inkstone for Bai Xiong, a gold pen for Bai Han, a beautiful vase for Xia Dong, and toys for the children. The gifts weren't expensive, but they were all very considerate because she had carefully inquired about their family's preferences from Bai Liyun. For example, the old madam liked to use handkerchiefs, Bai Xiong liked to use embroidery, and so on. The old madam liked Li Duobao at first sight. She had a pure smile and was polite to people. She didn't talk like those miss, who pretended to be polite. She had a straightforward personality and knew how to be considerate. She was a rare good girl. Bai Xiong was very optimistic about Li Duobao, but he was a little dissatisfied with her family background. However, he thought about it carefully. Yun turned over a new leaf, and it was also related to this girl. If he insisted on opposing, he might force his son back to his old ways, so he reluctantly agreed. As for Bai Jinxiu, firstly, she wasn't Bai Liyun's biological mother, so she didn't have much right to speak. Secondly, now that her husband had a harmonious relationship with her, she didn't want to cause conflict between husband and wife because of Bai Liyun, so she accepted Li Duobao graciously. When Bai Han learned that Bai Liyun and Li Duobao were dating, he sent people to investigate Li Duobao. He knew that she was a simple and good girl. He wasn't worried that she would hurt Bai Liyun, but he was a little worried that Bai Liyun would bully her. However, this was between the two of them, so he couldn't be bothered to ask. The most important thing was that another one of his wife's secret admirers had been eliminated. It was really worth celebrating. The old madam said happily, Duobao, when will the parents of our two families get together to discuss your marriage? Li Duobao pursed her lips in embarrassment. Bai Liyun knew that she was thin-skinned, so he quickly said, Grandma, I'm developing my career in the United States now. Our marriage isn't in a hurry. We'll talk about it when I return to China. The old madam looked at him reproachfully. It's reasonable for our two families to meet. Otherwise, Duobao's parents will think that our family doesn't know how to be polite. Li Duobao smiled and said, "Sure, Grandma. My mother heard Yin mention you before. She said that she admired you very much and wanted to meet you." The old madam asked curiously, "Yin mentioned me in front of your mother? What did she say about me? She didn't scold me, did she?" Li Duobao's eyes curved. "How could that be? Yin mentioned that you used to go to the battlefield with Grandpa. My mother said that you're the modern Mu Guiying, and she especially admires you." The old madam teased. "Oh, Duobao, I didn't know that your little mouth was so good at praising people. Grandma's tail is wagging from your praise." Li Duobao blinked mischievously. "I didn't praise you. My mother praised you." The old madam laughed heartily, and the atmosphere at the dinner table was warm and warm. Bailey Yin picked up Li Duobao's favorite dish. Suddenly his phone rang. He glanced at the caller ID and saw that it was Ah Bao. He smiled and said to everyone, "I'm going to take a call." Then he quickly walked out of the private room. "Ah Bao, what's the matter?" "Second young master. Ahu and I just saw Zhao Dai walking into a hotel with a woman in his arms." Bailey Yun's gaze turned cold. "Zhao Dai, you're finally showing your fox tail." His lips curled into a cold smile, and he said in a deep voice, "Ah Bao, take a photo of them and find out who that woman is." "Okay, I understand." Bailey Yun returned from the phone call. His expression didn't change as he chuckled and talked about interesting things to adjust the atmosphere at the table. After dinner, everyone gathered and chatted for a while before dispersing. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 404. Li Duobao flipped through the photos in her hands. Every time she looked at one, her heart ached. That man, how could he treat her mother like this? How could he be so cruel to her? After looking at the last photo, her tears fell uncontrollably. She bit her lips tightly, and the knuckles of her fingers that were holding the photo turned slightly white. "Baby, don't be sad. It's a good thing to see that bastard's true colors earlier." Bailey Yin knelt on one knee in front of her, and used a tissue to gently wipe the tears on her face. She nodded with tears in her eyes. Her heart was still in pain. She felt bad for her mother. Why was her mother's life so bitter? Her first husband had died early, and her second husband had cheated on her. The next day, Zhao Dai had to discuss business with someone, and was not at home. Li Duobao took the photo home and planned to explain it to her mother. Bailey Yin was worried that Zhao Dai's sudden return would hurt the mother and daughter, so he suggested to accompany her. She felt that it was not appropriate, and it would also embarrass her mother, so he could only change his mind and let Ah Bao and Ahu monitor them downstairs. Once Zhao Dai returned home and had a conflict with the mother and daughter, they would rush up to protect them. Wuxia saw that Li Duobao had returned, and was very happy. She immediately asked her about her meeting with Bailey Yun's family last night. Li Duobao smiled. "It's pretty good. They are all very supportive of us. Grandma even said that she wants to meet you." That's good, that's good." Wuxia's face was full of smiles. She had been worried that Bailey's family would look down on their small family, but she did not expect them to respect them so much. She could finally relax. Li Duobao looked at her mother's happy expression, and touched the photo in her handbag. She did not know how to speak to her. After hesitating for a long time, she said tentatively, "Mom, I think it's quite difficult for two people to be loyal to each other for the rest of their lives after marriage." Wuxia was shocked and hurriedly asked, "What's wrong? Did Yin do something to let you down?" "No, that's not it. Mom, don't misunderstand. I was just saying it casually." Li Duobao hurriedly shook her head. She really didn't know how to speak. She didn't pull the topic to her stepfather, but instead caused her mother to misunderstand Yin. Wuxia patted her chest and looked at her reproachfully. "You child. You scared me to death. You suddenly exclaimed about this. I thought something had happened between the two of you." Li Duobao shook his head gloomily. "No." Wuxia looked at her carefully and frowned. "Bauer, do you have something on your mind? You've been acting strange ever since you entered the room." She was the one who raised her daughter, so she knew her daughter's character better than anyone else. She had always revealed her emotions, and the only thing missing was the words, "I have something on my mind," written all over her face. Li Duobao gritted his teeth and decided to cut the Gordian knot. Finally, he asked tentatively, "Mom, and I'm saying if Uncle Zhao were to find another woman behind your back, what would you do?" Ever since that incident, Li Duobao no longer called Zhao Dai dad. Instead, he called him Uncle Zhao. Wang Xiao's body stiffened. She looked into her daughter's eyes, which were clearly surging with uneasiness and nervousness. She understood her daughter. If it wasn't for some news, her daughter wouldn't ask such a question. Wang Xiao's face quickly became ugly, her lips trembled, and she didn't say a word for a long time. She was a person who could share joys and sorrows, and could also resign herself to adversity, but she couldn't tolerate being betrayed by her husband. However, she wasn't alone. She still had Duobao and Xian. Even if she didn't think for herself, she had to think for the children. "Mom," Li Duobao saw that she was so sad, and he forgot all about cutting the Gordian knot. He held her arm worriedly and said anxiously, "Mom, don't think too much. I was just asking casually. Uncle Zhao didn't do anything to let you down." Wang Xia slowly reached out and stroked her hair. She pulled the corner of her lips sadly. "Duobao, you've never been good at lying since you were young. Every time you lie, you subconsciously look to the right." "It's okay, Mom can take it. Tell me the truth." The way she forced a smile was like a needle stabbing into Li Duobao's heart. Her nose burned, and she was afraid that her tears would fall. She quickly lowered her head and opened the zipper of her handbag. She took out the photos and slowly handed them to her. The photos were facing up, and the top one was Zhao Dai walking on the street with a woman in his arms. Wang Xia trembled as she picked up the stack of photos and slowly flipped through them. There were only a few photos, but she flipped through them for nearly half an hour. She looked at them over and over again with a sense of self-abuse, until Li Duobao couldn't bear to look at them anymore. He held her hand tightly and cried, "Mom, don't look at them anymore." Wang Xia thought that she was strong enough, but when she saw her husband being intimate with another woman, she still couldn't control her heartache. Her eyes were so numb that she couldn't shed tears. She was like a puppet, staring blankly into the distance and calmly asking, "Who is that woman? How long have they been together?" Li Duobao bit his lips and tried his best to control his emotions. "It's one of Uncle Zhao's clients. They've been together for 3 years. 3 years, he had actually hidden it from her for 3 years. In these 3 years, every time he got drunk, he would scold her and occasionally hit her. Every time he woke up, he would beg for her forgiveness, and she actually foolishly forgave him. Even if he beat her until her head was bleeding, she wouldn't harden her heart and break up with him. She didn't expect that he had already had a mistress outside. Wang Xiaoguang thought about Zhao Dai crying and begging for her forgiveness and felt disgusted. This time, she really wanted to cut off all ties with him. Her numb gaze slowly turned to Li Duobao and she held her hand. "Bauer, if Mom wants to divorce him, what do you think?" Li Duobao nodded his head heavily, his eyes filled with certainty. "Mom, I support your divorce. Don't worry, I have some savings over the years. I will definitely take good care of you and Xian." Wang Xiao's lips slowly curled up into a smile as she stroked her daughter's hair. "Bauer, with your words, Mom is enough." Li Duobao hugged her and said softly, "Mom, the earlier we go through the divorce procedures, the earlier we can be free. Yin has already contacted a lawyer." Wang Xia sighed softly. "I still don't know if Xian will agree. Furthermore, if I get a divorce, will it affect the Bailey's view of you? Mom, I beg you, please be selfish for once. Don't think about what others think and let yourself live happily, okay?" Li Duobao hugged her tightly with heartache. Wang Xia stroked her hair and said softly, "Okay." However, the worry between her brows did not dissipate. When Zhao Dai returned from outside, he bumped into Li Duobao and Wang Xia. Li Duobao was dragging a suitcase in his hand. When the mother and daughter saw him, they both had indifferent expressions. He did not understand what was going on and chuckled. "Xia Duobao, what are you doing? Why are you carrying a suitcase?" Wang Xia felt disgusted when she saw him. She took out a stack of photos and threw them at his face, saying coldly, "Zhao Dai, I know all the good things you've done. Let's get a divorce. From today onwards, I'll move to Duobao's place. The photos scattered on the ground like snowflakes. Zhao Dai and other women's intimate scenes were all exposed in the corridor. He stared at the photos in disbelief and shouted, Wuxia, listen to my explanation. This woman is just a client of mine. There's nothing between us really. Pa. A slap landed on Zhao Dai's face. Wuxia slowly retracted her hand and looked at him with disdain. Zhao Dai, if you're a man, you have to be responsible. If you don't even dare to admit what you've done, you'll only make me look down on you even more. Zhao Dai stared at her in a daze, as if he did not expect that the usually gentle woman would actually hit him. Wuxia disdained to look at him again. She turned to Li Duobao and said, Bauer, let's go. No, Wuxia, don't go. I won't agree to a divorce. Zhao Dai seemed to have woken up from a dream. He hurriedly grabbed Wuxia's arm and pulled her away. Let go, don't touch me. You're my wife. You can't go anywhere. Wuxia struggled hard. Li Duobao threw down the suitcase and rushed forward to help. Zhao Dai raised his arm high. Just as it was about to land on Wuxia's face, two black shadows suddenly flashed in the corridor. They moved quickly behind Zhao Dai and firmly grabbed his arm. With a shoulder throw, Zhao Dai was thrown into the corridor. Wuxia reflexively protected Li Duobao behind her back. She was still in shock as she watched the two men who suddenly appeared punch and kick Zhao Dai. Zhao Dai screamed miserably and rolled around on the ground. Li Duobao hurriedly ran out from behind his mother and shouted, Abao Ahu, stop fighting! Ahu and Abao stopped. They did not even look at the cowering Zhao Dai and turned to look at them. Are you okay? Li Duobao shook his head. I'm fine. Mom, are you okay? Wuxia forced a smile. I'm fine. Thank you. You're welcome. Second young master told us to protect the two of you. Let's go downstairs. Ahu quickly walked forward and picked up the suitcase on the ground. Li Duobao held Wuxia's arm and followed behind them. Wuxia walked to the elevator and could not help but look back at Zhao Dai, who was groaning on the ground. A look of pity appeared in her eyes. Abao said, Auntie, don't worry. We didn't hit his vitals. We just wanted to teach him a lesson. Wuxia smiled awkwardly. Wuxia had not thought of how to tell Xian about the divorce when he called back. His voice was very urgent. Mom, are you really going to divorce Dad? Xian, did your dad tell you? I really can't live with your dad anymore. Forgive me for being selfish this time. Mom, Dad said that there's really nothing between him and that woman. You misunderstood. Please believe him this time. Mom, I really don't want to become a child of a single-parent family. Mom, I'm begging you. Xian started sobbing on the phone. Ad. Hongcha 866. Chapter 405. Wuxia's tears also fell. Xian, don't be like this. This time your father really hurt me badly. I can't forgive him. Mom, can you not be so selfish? Think about me and my sister. Sister finally has a boyfriend, and even met his parents. If you and Dad get divorced, what will brother-in-law's family think of our family? Mom, let's talk about me. I'm about to prepare for the final exam. You don't want me to be distracted at this time, right? Moreover, I don't want to be laughed at by my classmates. Xian's words were like a heavy stone that tightly pressed down on Wuxia's heart. She covered her mouth and suppressed her choking voice, allowing her tears to fall one by one. After ending the call, Wuxia changed her mind. She decided not to divorce Zhao Dai for the time being. Although Li Duobao didn't know what Xian said to her on the phone, he was sure that Xian didn't agree to her parents' divorce, so he persuaded her, causing her to change her mind. Mom, think about it again. If you forgive Zhao Dai for doing such a thing, he might go even further in the future. Li Duobao was as anxious as an ant on a hot pot. He tried his best to persuade his mother, but Wuxia insisted on this decision and refused to let go. On this day, Wuxia was sad and tired. Under Li Duobao's persuasion, she barely ate half a bowl of rice and went back to her room to rest early. After seeing her return to her room, Li Duobao walked to the balcony and dialed Xian's number. When the call connected, there was silence on both sides. Li Duobao pursed his lips and said in a low voice, Xian, you don't agree with your parents' divorce, do you? Xian's rapid breathing came from the phone, as if he was trying hard to control his emotions. After not getting an answer for a long time, she called his name again. Xian? Xian suddenly exploded in anger. Li Duobao, are you still mom's biological daughter? Why did you persuade mom and dad to divorce? Dad already said that you deliberately got someone to take those photos. You just want them to divorce, right? You want mom to be laughed at, don't you? Li Duobao, what kind of intentions do you have? You're going to marry into a rich family, so you're looking down on dad, right? His voice was so loud that even Bailey Yun, who was standing behind Li Duobao, heard it. After they met the parents of both parties, Li Duobao gave him a key to her house. When he opened the door and came in, he found Li Duobao standing on the balcony talking on the phone, so he quietly stood behind her. He wanted to give her a surprise, but he didn't expect to hear such a chilling question. He saw the frail shoulders of the little woman in front of him trembling slightly. He heard her say in a trembling voice, Xian, how could you misunderstand me like this? It's a fact that Zhao Dai cheated, and it's also a fact that he betrayed mother. I did all this for mother's sake. Xian's roar came again. I don't believe it. You're obviously looking down on dad. Dad and mom haven't divorced yet, and you're calling dad by his full name. Do you still have any respect for him? Li Duobao's fingers that were holding the phone suddenly tightened. Just as she was about to say something, a hand suddenly appeared behind her and snatched her phone away. A figure suddenly appeared beside her. He was tall and straight, and his entire body was emitting a cold aura. It was Bailey Yin. She stared at him in a daze. Seeing him put the phone to his ear, his handsome face was expressionless as he said indifferently, Zhao Xian, I'm Bailey Yin, your future brother-in-law. I have something to say to you. Xian was obviously still angry. He didn't even have a good expression towards Bailey Yin. He said angrily, if you have something to say, just say it. Bailey Yin said indifferently, you're already an adult. Don't be so willful like a child. Before you accuse others, you'd better get to the bottom of the matter. Otherwise, the words that come out of your mouth will be too hurtful. Xian was slightly startled. You flew into a rage. Don't think that you can lecture me just because you're my sister's boyfriend. I know very well what the truth is. Bailey Yin sneered. Then tell me what the truth is. Xian said angrily. It's my dad's fault for hitting my mom when he's drunk, but in the past month or so, he's already corrected himself. Why is Sis still holding on to him and not letting him go? Why did she purposely create those photos to encourage mom to divorce dad? Bailey Yun's gaze turned cold. Is this the so-called truth that Zhao Dai told you? That's right, I believe what my dad said. Bailey Yun glanced at Li Duobao, who was biting his lips in grievance, and said in a deep voice, since you trust your dad so much, why don't you ask him what else he did besides cheating and drinking violence? What do you mean? Don't slander my dad. Xian's furious voice clearly reached Li Duobao's ears. She felt uneasy. She knew what Bailey Yun wanted to say, so she quietly tugged at his sleeve and whispered, Yun, don't say it. Bailey Yun put his arm around her shoulder, deliberately letting Xian hear their conversation. Duobao, don't be afraid. We should let Xian know about this matter. Otherwise, he will misunderstand you for the rest of his life. You guys, what are you trying to say? Tell me quickly. Xian could no longer hold back his temper, and asked anxiously. Bailey Yun said slowly, after your father got drunk, not only did he abuse your mother, he also molested your sister. Last time, if I hadn't arrived in time, your sister would have been killed by him. Clang. This sound didn't come from the phone, but Bailey Yun and Li Duobao turned around at the same time, and saw Wuxia standing in the living room with a pale face. Beside her feet, a teacup was broken on the ground. She was like a walking corpse, walking towards them in a daze, muttering, Duobao, is this true? At the same time, on the other end of the phone, Xian roared angrily, I don't believe it, this is slander. Bailey Yun's gaze fell on Wuxia, his left hand pressed on Li Duobao's shoulder, and said, Duobao, since mom knows about it now, Don't hide it from her anymore. His words reached Xian's ears at the same time. Duobao, is it true? Wuxia looked at Li Duobao blankly, her hands clenched into fists. Li Duobao bit her lips, a layer of light in her eyes, and she nodded slowly. Why did you hide such a big thing from me? Wuxia rushed in front of her and grabbed her arm excitedly. Mom, at first I thought stepfather was just drunk. I didn't want to destroy the relationship between you two, and I didn't want to destroy the image of the father in Xian's heart that he respected. Last time, he beat you until your head bled, and I was really scared. I was worried that if we forgave him, he would hurt us again when he got drunk one day. That's why I had people secretly pay attention to his actions. Mom, I really didn't mean to destroy the relationship between you two. Don't say it, don't say it. Wuxia's tears fell like rain, and she hugged her tightly in her arms. Bao, Mom's silly daughter, you should have told Mom earlier. How could Mom blame you? Mom can't wait to feel sorry for you. It's all Mom's fault. Mom didn't find out earlier that Zhao Dai was a beast in human skin. Mom has let you down. It's Mom who has let you down. Mom, don't think like that. I hid it from you because I wanted you to be happy. You've already sacrificed too much for me and Xian. Bao, Mom's silly Bao. Wuxia hugged her daughter and wailed. This was the first time she cried so sadly in so many years. The mother and daughter hugged each other and cried. Bailey Yun's eyes also shone brightly. He put the phone to his ear and said slowly, You heard it all, right? Do you still think your sister did something wrong? It turned out that he had pressed the hands-free button just now. Everything that had happened here, everything that Duobao and his mother had said, had been transmitted to Xian's ears without missing a word. Xian was dumbstruck, and his heart ached to the extreme. He had regarded his father as his idol since he was young. He worshipped his father, respected his father, and believed every word he said. He didn't expect that his father would lie to everyone and use him to save this broken marriage. He felt extremely ashamed. He actually said so many hurtful words to his mother and sister. He simply didn't have the face to face them anymore. A regretful sob came from the phone. Bailey Yun's voice softened a lot. Xian, as a man, you have to be responsible. You have to know how to distinguish right from wrong. When you see things, you can't rely on your eyes and ears. Your sister and your mother are both here. Don't you want to say a few words to them? Xian was silent for a while, then slowly said, Thank you, brother-in-law. I want to say a few words to my sister. Bailey Yun nodded and handed the phone to Li Duobao. Li Duobao wiped the tears from the corner of his eyes and pretended to be light. Xian, it's me. Xian paused, his voice hoarse. Sis, I'm sorry. I said a lot of nonsense. I'm really sorry. Can you forgive me? Li Duobao's lips slowly curled up, and he said softly, Xian, we will always be a family. I have never been angry with you, so how can I forgive you? Sis, I'm sorry. The suppressed tears suddenly gushed out, and Xian burst into tears. The phone was handed over to Wuxia again. Xian's agitated emotions had recovered a lot. He said in a low voice, Mom, I said today that you are selfish. Please don't take it to heart. In fact, the one who is truly selfish is me. I have never thought of you from your point of view. I'm sorry. I won't object to your divorce with Dad anymore. Mom, sis is right. You have sacrificed your entire life for us. It's time for you to think about yourself. I also hope that you can be happy. Wuxia shed tears, but there was a gratified smile on her lips. Xian, Mom is very happy. You have finally grown up. The grudge between the family was resolved just like that. All that was left was to go through the divorce procedures with Zhao Dai. All of this was thanks to Bailey Yun. Wuxia valued him more and more. Even Xian, who had never seen him before, was already convinced by him. His marriage with Li Duobao was also considered a sure thing. However, unexpectedly, there was still a test waiting for them ahead. Awesome novel Songshu 566. Chapter 406. It was late at night. Bailey Yun was half naked with a towel wrapped around his waist. He walked out of the bathroom while wiping his wet hair. He walked to the sofa and picked up his phone to take a look. There were no unchecked messages or missed calls. His heart felt empty. Today was the day Li Duobao's mother divorced that scumbag. She said that she wanted to stay by her mother's side. He wanted to give the mother and daughter a chance to heal alone, so he didn't go to her house to see her. It made him feel uncomfortable for the whole day. He kept feeling that something important was missing. The door lock clicked. Bai Liyun suddenly raised his head and looked over. The door opened and Li Duobao stood at the door wearing an orange dress. She stood straight like a statue and stared at him in a daze as if she was in a daze. Duobao, what's wrong with you? Bai Liyun rushed towards her anxiously. Li Duobao's long eyelashes fluttered and she ran into his arms. She leaned her head on his bare chest and said with a choked voice, Ayun, do you really love me? Will you always be loyal to me? Will you lie to me? Bai Liyun knew that she must have been agitated by her mother's divorce. He wrapped his arms around her waist and hugged her tightly. His smooth chin rubbed against her soft hair and he said softly, Duobao, I love you. I will be loyal to you for the rest of my life. I will never lie to you. Her eyes were sore. Her eyelashes fluttered slightly and tears gushed out. How long is forever? Bai Liyun held her face and stared into her eyes with a solemn expression. He said as if he was making an oath. Forever is one day longer than my life. As long as I'm alive, you will be the only woman I love. His gentle but firm voice entered her heart word by word. And the doubts about love that had arisen from her stepfather's betrayal of her mother gradually dissipated. Her tears turned into smiles, and her curved eyebrows were filled with a bright smile. Seeing her smile again, Bai Liyun's lips curled up. He rubbed her hair and said gently, Why didn't you call me before you came? What if you were in danger? Don't do this again. She sniffled and frowned. I know, I just suddenly missed you. The smile on Bai Liyun's face widened. Oh, I like hearing that. He bent down slightly and kissed her cheek, whispering in her ear, Don't go back tonight. His warm breath brushed against her ear, causing her body to tremble slightly. Her cheeks started to burn again. She lowered her eyes guiltily and realized that her hands were pressed against his broad chest. She could clearly feel the texture of his muscles. Under her palms, his heart was beating as fast as hers. She retracted her hands and lowered her head shyly. Biting her lips, she whispered, No, we have to wait until after we get married. His large hand rubbed her hair hard, and a low laughter seemed to come from the depths of his chest, extremely magnetic. Little fool, what are you thinking? What I mean is that it's too late, so don't go back and forth. Just sleep here for the night. Of course, if you can't wait, we can consummate our marriage tonight. You're bullying me. Li Duobao's face turned red. She pouted and lightly punched his chest. He raised his eyebrows and smirked. Why would I bully you? I can't wait to dote on you. It's obvious that some little fool is thinking the wrong way. Li Duobao stomped her feet and covered her face. Stop talking. If you continue, I'm going to ignore you. His voice was full of laughter. All right, let's stop joking. Sleep in the guest room tonight. I definitely won't take the opportunity to harass you. Although they had been dating for a few months, they had only held hands and kissed. They hadn't broken through the last line of defense. Bai Liyun cherished her very much and wanted to save the best for their wedding night. It was mid-August, and the sun was scorching. Li Duobao followed the flight and came to New York again. Because every time she came, Bai Liyun would take her around to play, so she was now more familiar with New York. Just as she came out of the airport, Bai Liyun's assistant, Kelly, was already waiting by the side of the road in his car. She smiled and shook hands with Kelly. Kelly, sorry to trouble you. I have to ask you to send me home again. Kelly teased. It's my honor. If the president didn't have something to do at the last minute, such a good job wouldn't have fallen to me. After Kelly sent Li Duobao to Bai Liyun's apartment, he rushed back to the company to report. Li Duobao packed her luggage and looked at the time. There was still more than an hour to lunch. In the past, she had made a few lunches and sent them to the company to have lunch with Bai Liyun. He was especially happy. This time, she wanted to do it again. As long as she thought about how surprised he would be, she felt sweet in her heart. Li Duobao made a few dishes that he liked and packed them in a lunchbox. She went out and hailed a taxi, heading to his company. There was a fountain in front of the Seagram building. The water sprayed up high and then sprinkled into the clear pool. The bright sunlight reflected on the surface of the water, making it sparkle. Li Duobao was wearing a bohemian-style long dress. Her hair was curled into big waves and draped over her shoulders. She wore brown sunglasses on her face and looked sexy and charming. It was very different from her usual pure image. She wondered if Yin would recognize her when he saw her later. She snickered and her lips curled into a playful arc. She was about to walk to the entrance of the building when she saw Bailey Yin and a beautiful blonde walking out from inside, talking and laughing. She recognized the woman. It was his secretary, Helen. Although she had only seen Helen twice, she had a deep impression of her beauty. Reflexively, she hid behind a big tree next to the fountain. She frowned. Li Duobao returned to the empty villa and sat on the sofa in a daze for more than an hour. Her eyes were so dry that she couldn't cry anymore. She put the clothes she had tidied up a few hours ago back into the suitcase and stuffed all her personal belongings inside. Without leaving a word, she left without looking back. Bailey Yin deliberately got off work early and rushed home to see the little woman he missed dearly. However, when he hurriedly opened the door, it was empty. There was no one there. He quickly ran upstairs and opened the door to her room. There was still no one there. Even her suitcase was gone. Bailey Yin quickly felt uneasy. He dialed her number, and the cold female voice told him that the other party had turned off her phone. Uneasiness and fear were like the hands of the devil, tightly gripping his neck and suffocating him. He tried hard to control his panic and dialed the phone back to the country. "Auntie, did Duobao contact you today?" "Yes, when she just arrived in New York today. She called me to tell me that she was safe." "What's wrong?" Wuxia's slightly worried voice came over. "It's nothing. I was just asking." Bailey Yin casually found a reason and quickly hung up the phone. Then he called her good friend Ren Yuyu. Ren Yuyu said that when Duobao arrived in New York, she sent her a text message to tell her that she was safe. After that, she didn't contact her again. Come and see. Hongcha 866. Chapter 407. Bailey Yin made a round of phone calls, but he didn't manage to find out Li Duobao's whereabouts. He was about to go crazy. He clenched his fist and slammed it on the coffee table. The intense pain made him tremble. A thought suddenly flashed through his mind. Did she return to the Hilton Hotel? She had said before that their company always booked rooms at that hotel for their employees. Bailey Yin was excited. He called the hotel's front desk directly. Miss at the front desk said that the flight attendants of Central South Airlines were indeed staying at their hotel. "Please help me check Miss Li Duobao's room number." "I'm sorry. We keep the guest's room number a secret." No matter how Bailey Yin asked, the other party refused to tell him the room number. The veins on his forehead bulged. In the end, he hung up the phone and drove straight to the hotel. There were so many rooms in the Hilton Hotel. It was impossible for him to search every room. Bailey Yin slammed the car door. He held a loudspeaker in his hand and strode to the hotel's atrium. From here, he could see all the floors. He raised the loudspeaker and stood in the atrium with a cold expression. He slowly looked around and said loudly, "Li Duobao, I know you're here. Come out. I have something to talk to you about." The loudspeaker transmitted his voice in all directions, attracting the attention of many people and the hotel's security personnel. 2 security personnel came forward and stopped him. "Sir, your actions have disturbed our hotel's guests. Please turn off the loudspeaker." Bailey Yin ignored them and continued to speak loudly in Chinese. "Li Duobao, what happened? Why did you leave me? Come out now and explain yourself." More people came out of the hotel rooms and stood on the balcony. They looked down curiously. Some of them were foreigners who didn't know what he was shouting about. Some of them were Chinese and enthusiastically applauded him. "Hey bro, you're very brave. I support you." Someone shouted. "That girl called Li Duobao, come out quickly. If you don't come out, your boyfriend will be taken away by the security." Sure enough, the two security guards grabbed Bai Liyun's arm and seemed to want to drag him away by force. Bai Liyun, on the other hand, did not look embarrassed at all. His cold gaze continued to scan the surroundings, trying to find that little woman in the crowd. However, there was no one there. She was not among these people. "Sir, if you don't stop this behavior, we will forcibly take you out of the hotel." The security guard gave an ultimatum. Bai Liyun ignored them and continued to shout through the loudspeaker. "Li Duobao, I love you. Don't you love me anymore? Are you okay with me being arrested by the police? Li Duobao, answer me." Pa! The loudspeaker was snatched away by the security guard and thrown to the ground. The sharp, ear-piercing sound echoed in the empty atrium. "Duobao, your boyfriend is fighting with the security guard. Oh no, oh no. There are two of them, and Bai Liyun is alone. He will definitely suffer." The door of a room was wide open. A beautiful woman was lying on the balcony, watching with great interest. From time to time, she would turn back to report the situation to the people hiding in the room. Li Duobao covered her ears and shook her head in pain. She didn't want to hear it. He was going to marry another woman. Why did he come here and say something to disturb her mood? "Oh my God, Duobao," a security guard hit Bai Liyun's face. "He is so handsome. Will he be disfigured?" Li Duobao's colleague Zhu Ling, who had been broadcasting live from the balcony for Li Duobao. Zhu Ling's exaggerated scream came again. Oh, this time they hit Bai Liyun's stomach. "Bai Liyun is so pitiful." Before she could finish her words, the ostrich with the surname Li and the name Duobao, who was hiding in the room, rushed out of the room like lightning and ran to the elevator. Zhu Ling's lips curled up high. She proudly stared at Bai Liyun, who had beaten the security guard to the ground. She muttered, "Bai Liyun, oh Bai Liyun, when you get the beauty back, don't forget my great kindness." Li Duobao rushed into the atrium like a bullet. When she saw the situation in front of her, she quickly stopped and turned around to escape. She was so stupid. She was actually deceived by Zhu Ling. The current situation was not Bai Liyun being beaten up, but he was beating someone else to the ground. But just as she ran a step, her arm was grabbed and she was pulled back to the warm and familiar chest. "Bro, you're too awesome." There was a cheer around. He acted as if he didn't hear anything. He only had eyes for her. His arms were tightly wrapped around her back. Because of his excitement, his body was trembling slightly. Even his voice was trembling. Why did you leave?" Her eyes were extremely sore. She bit her lips hard and forced herself to hold back her tears. She deliberately armed herself with indifference. "Why can't I leave? Do I have to stay and be humiliated by you? Why did you leave without saying goodbye? Why did you turn off your phone? Damn it. Do you know how anxious I was? I thought you were kidnapped again." Bai Liyun held her shoulders and roared at her. The fire in his eyes almost burned her to ashes. He was the one who was in the wrong, so why was she the one who was being blamed? She was full of grievances and struggled hard. "Let go of me. I don't want you to care. From this moment on, we're breaking up. We're breaking up." Bai Liyun's eyes suddenly tightened, his entire body emitting a cold aura. He stared straight into her eyes. His hands were like iron pincers, pinching her bones to the point of pain. He said word by word, "Say that again?" Tears welled up in her eyes. She shouted desperately, "We're breaking up. I said we're breaking up. Li Duobao, I'm giving you one more chance. I order you to take back what you said." Bai Liyun's eyes were dyed with a layer of scarlet because of his anger. His gaze was frighteningly fierce. He looked as if he was going to pounce on her and tear her apart. "I won't take back what I said. Let go of me. Don't touch me again. It's dirty." She didn't want him to touch her after touching another woman's hand. It would make her feel disgusted and extremely stupid. However, Bai Liyun was greatly affected by her words. Dirty. Indeed, this was her true thoughts. She used to say that she wouldn't mind his past, but it was all a lie. It was all a lie. She felt that he was dirty from the bottom of her heart. She felt that he wasn't worthy of her. His body stiffened. His face was pale, and his lips couldn't stop trembling. He allowed her to push him back fiercely. He staggered a few steps and almost fell to the ground. His vision was a blur, and he could only see her figure running away quickly. He was like a big tree that had been attacked by the wind and snow. He no longer had his usual heroic appearance. All that was left was the vicissitudes of life and decadence. He clenched his fists tightly and stared in the direction she disappeared. His shoulders felt as if there was a heavy weight pressing down on them, causing him to suffocate. "Sir, please come with us. You are suspected of intentional injury." When Bailey Yun beat up the security guard, the hotel had already called the police. At this moment, the police rushed over and wanted to take him back to the police station. Bailey Yun didn't say a word and silently followed the police. The crowd that had surrounded the balcony to watch the show for a long time let out a hissing sound. Li Duobao ran back to the bathroom in the room in one breath, locked the door, turned on the tap, and cried loudly under the cover of the sound of running water. Zhu Ling crossed her arms and leaned against the wall next to the bathroom. Her brows were deeply furrowed. Sigh, could it be that she had done something wrong? After Bailey Yun was arrested and sent to the police station, his lawyer quickly rushed over. After negotiating with the injured security guard, the security guard was willing to accept the compensation and give up the lawsuit against Bailey Yun. More than half a month had passed. Bailey Yun's originally thin face had become even thinner. His handsome face, which was originally full of smiles, was shrouded by dark clouds. The company's employees didn't dare to provoke him for fear of becoming cannon fodder. The vice president, Jarif, was an American Chinese. He was an alumnus of Bailey Yun and had a good relationship with him in private. On this day, Jarif brought 2 cups of coffee to his office, saying that he wanted to have coffee with him. Jarif sighed. "Yun, do you know that the employees are very afraid of you recently? It's enough to have a fussy boss like me in the company. If you were to join in, everyone would have no way to survive." Bailey Yun took a sip of coffee and said expressionlessly, "I'll be careful in the future." Jarif leaned closer to him. "In that case, try smiling first." Bailey Yun's stiff lips twitched. Jarif waved his hand helplessly. "Forget it, don't smile. Your smile is even uglier than your gloomy face now." Bailey Yun glanced at him coldly. "If there's nothing else, go back to your office. I have to work." Jarif walked to the office door and stopped in his tracks. After a few seconds of silence, he said without looking back, "Yun, I know why you're in a bad mood. If you really can't bear to part with her, then get her back so that you won't regret it in the future." There was an imperceptible desolation in his voice. Bailey Yun was slightly stunned. He looked down at the black coffee in his hand. It was very bitter, just like his heart during this period. Very bitter. Stepping foot on the land of New York again, Li Duobao was no longer as happy as before. She was like an eggplant that had been hit by frost, wilting. She dragged her suitcase unhappily and followed her colleagues to the parking lot. The bus that their company had rented was parked there, and would take them to the hotel. Suddenly, a series of hurried footsteps came from behind. Before she could pay much attention to it, her arms suddenly tightened as a large palm grabbed her. She slowly turned around and bumped into a pair of deep and cold eyes. Bailey Yun was wearing black suit pants and a white shirt. His handsome face was slightly red from the sun, and his fine hair had a healthy luster under the sun. After not seeing him for more than 10 days, he was still so handsome that people couldn't take their eyes off him. However, his face seemed to have lost some weight, and there was a dark shadow under his eyes. It was obvious that he hadn't been doing well recently. But why wasn't he doing well? He was going to marry another woman. What was wrong with that? Come and see. Xinwu 799. Chapter 408. Thinking of this, Li Duobao's heart was filled with anger. She bit her lips and glared at him angrily. He looked at her coldly as well. The two of them looked at each other without saying a word. The colleagues around them were already whispering, full of curiosity about them. She pulled her arm uncomfortably and said stiffly, "Let go." "I'm not letting go." His thin lips were pursed as he tried his best to suppress his emotions. "Li Duobao, tell me, what did I do wrong? Why did you want to break up with me?" She clenched her fists tightly and smiled coldly. Was it because I brought up the breakup first and embarrassed second young master? Is that why you're holding on to me so tightly? How about this? You'll be the one to bring up the breakup. We'll break up again. Am I that kind of person in your eyes? He tightened his grip on her wrist, causing her bones to hurt. She held on and didn't make a sound. His voice was hoarse as he said word by word. I never said that I wanted to break up. Why are you in such a hurry to leave me? Have you fallen in love with someone else? Li Duobao laughed softly as if she had heard a funny joke. Her laughter was so untimely that it made everyone suspicious. They all quieted down and several pairs of eyes stared at them through the window. The bus driver was only waiting for Li Duobao now. He pressed the horn impatiently. Li Duobao stopped laughing and said indifferently, the person who fell in love with someone else isn't me. Don't put such a crime on me. Let go. I don't want others to see me as a joke anymore. Bailey Yin didn't let go. Instead, he held her even tighter. He grabbed her luggage with his other hand and dragged her in another direction. Li Duobao was forced to follow behind him. She shouted angrily, what are you doing? Let go of me. Bailey Yin didn't say a word. Ignoring her protests, he dragged her to his car, opened the door, stuffed her into the passenger seat, and quickly buckled her seat belt. The Ferrari disappeared from the parking lot in the blink of an eye. The bus driver shook his head and stepped on the accelerator. The stewardesses in the bus were still sighing about how lucky Li Duobao was. Bailey Yin drove Li Duobao all the way back to his villa in less than an hour. He threw her onto the sofa and held the back of the sofa with his arms. He looked down at her and said in a deep voice, what did you mean by that? Since you didn't fall in love with anyone else, why did you break up? He looked cold and fierce on the surface, but his heart was filled with apprehension. He told himself over and over again that she didn't despise him. She didn't despise him. Li Duobao turned his head away angrily, his eyes glistening with tears. You're the one who fell in love with someone else, but you make it sound like I'm the one who let you down. I hate you to death. Why did you barge into my world? Why did you say things that made me misunderstand? Why did you betray me when I fell in love with you? Bailey Yun's body trembled. He turned her face and forced her to look into his eyes. His voice trembled as he said, Bauer, you said you love me? Li Duobao burst into tears. Can't you listen to the main point? You jerk, go away. Don't come near me again. She kicked his leg angrily. Not only was he not angry, but he was ecstatic as he hugged her tightly. He muttered, Bauer, you love me. You don't like anyone else. Bauer, I'm so happy. Li Duobao was embarrassed and angry that he caught her words. She kicked him with her hands and feet. Go away, don't touch me. We've already broken up. If you want to hug someone else, don't be agitated. Listen to me, I love you too. I've never betrayed you. Bailey Yun ignored the pain in his leg and hugged her tightly, not letting her break free from his embrace. I don't believe you. I clearly saw you buying a ring with another woman. You're getting married, right? I wish you all the best. Li Duobao's tears fell like rain. God knows how much courage it took for her to say the word blessing. Bailey Yun was slightly startled. He finally understood how big of a misunderstanding there was between the two of them. He didn't know whether to laugh or cry. He gently stroked her back. Bauer, you misunderstood. I asked Hailuan to accompany me to choose a ring, because I wanted her to give me advice from a woman's point of view. That ring is not for her. Li Duobao complained tearfully. Oh, it's not for Hailuan. You have a second woman. Little fool, where did I get a second woman? The ring is for you. Bailey Yun was afraid that she wouldn't believe him. He hurriedly took out a small red velvet box from his trouser pocket. After opening it, he presented it to her. Look, it's really for you. Li Duobao stared at the ring in front of her in disbelief. She even forgot to cry. It was small, exquisite, and very beautiful. She didn't say a word. She didn't know how long she was in a daze. Bailey Yun accompanied her in silence. He held the ring firmly with both hands, and knelt on one knee in front of the sofa. This posture was like a proposal. She pursed her lips. So, did I really misunderstand? You really misunderstood. Bailey Yin secretly breathed a sigh of relief. The corner of his lips hooked up into a gentle smile. He gazed at her affectionately. Bao, will you marry me? Her fair cheeks were slowly dyed with a layer of red. She recalled what she had done and felt guilty. In fact, it was a very simple misunderstanding, but she didn't dare to ask him. As a result, the misunderstanding grew bigger. She almost didn't dare to look into his eyes. She stretched out her finger and said with a trembling voice, "Help me put it on." Bailey Yun grinned and happily answered, "Okay." He gently put the ring on her finger. Li Duobao rubbed the ring on her finger and said awkwardly, "Does your leg still hurt?" She was angry earlier and kicked it a few times. "It doesn't hurt, it doesn't hurt." Bailey Yun grinned like a fool. He even touched his nose foolishly. Where was his high-spirited appearance from before? Li Duobao couldn't help but burst into laughter. She threw herself into his arms and hugged him tightly. She whispered, "Yin, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you." He stroked her long hair and whispered, "Bauer, did I make you feel insecure?" She was like a child who had done something wrong. She hung her head and revealed half of her fair neck. Gigai apologized. "I'm sorry. I won't do it again." "Bao, I'm the one who should be apologizing. I didn't do well enough, so I made you feel insecure." He pulled her into his arms, held her face, and kissed her forehead. He said seriously, "Bauer, no matter what happens in the future, we have to tell each other. If we have any doubts between us, we have to be honest with each other. We don't have to hide it in our hearts anymore, okay?" She nodded seriously. "Okay. Bao, if we quarrel again in the future, no matter how angry we are, don't ever say that we broke up, okay?" Until now, his heart would ache whenever he recalled the scene when she said that she wanted to break up. Her eyes were filled with tears. "Okay. Yin, I won't say that again. Okay, we won't break up for the rest of our lives." Bailey Yin hugged her tightly and rubbed his chin on her soft hair. The two of them snuggled together quietly. Li Duobao stole glances at the ring on his finger from time to time, and the corners of his lips curled up. How could she hide her thoughts from Bailey Yin? He pinched her nose affectionately and chuckled. "This time, you really scared me to death. Tell me, how are you going to make it up to me?" Her bright eyes turned slightly. She raised her head and kissed him lightly on the chin. He smirked. "Not enough." Her lips slowly moved up and kissed his lips. Their lips touched, and a numb feeling immediately spread throughout his body. He hugged her tightly and tried to use his tongue to pry open her lips. She opened her lips slightly, and his tongue slid into her mouth. His kiss was like wine, making her unknowingly intoxicated. When he let go of her at the last moment, her dress had already slipped down, revealing the spring color of her chest. She leaned on his chest with an intoxicated look in her eyes, and softened into a puddle of spring water. He bit her earlobe and panted, "I really want to turn you into my wife immediately. That way, I won't have to endure so much." She placed her soft little hands on his waist and smiled foolishly. Her mother said that if a man was willing to control his desire for her, then he must love her very much. She wanted to hold on to this man who loved her tightly and not let go for the rest of her life. October was the season of osmanthus fragrances. The young wives and young ladies of a city were going crazy. The affectionate second young master Bailey that they loved so much was actually getting married. How could their hearts not be broken? This month was a double blessing for the Bailey family. First, the rebellious child, Bailey Yun, had finally made a name for himself. His company entered the China market and got off to a good start. Second, the licentious child, Bailey Yun, had finally settled his marriage and welcomed Li Duobao into the family. On the day of the wedding, there was a sea of people and guests. It was very lively. After the wedding, it was already evening. Bailey Yun ignored the ambiguous gazes of his family members and directly carried his little wife, who was so tired that she was about to collapse, upstairs and into the new room. Just a few minutes after he turned around to change his clothes, his little wife was already lying on the quilt in a daze, and was about to fall asleep. "Bao, get up and change your clothes first. Otherwise, you'll feel uncomfortable." He touched her cheek lovingly. A certain someone who hadn't had a good night's sleep for 2 days simply ignored him. She turned around and continued to snore. Marriage was so tiring and painful. She didn't want to get married again in this lifetime. Bai Lian saw how tired she was and couldn't bear to force her. He chuckled and gently helped her remove her hair, remove her makeup, and change her clothes. In order not to wake her up, his movements were very gentle and slow. It took him more than half an hour to help her change into comfortable pajamas. He also removed the makeup on her face and tidied her smooth long hair. "Bow or you're finally my wife." Bai Lian took off his shoes and went to her side and pulled her into his arms. As soon as she touched his chest, she naturally reached out and hugged him. Her little head even rubbed against his chest as a serene smile bloomed on her lips. Bai Lian lovingly kissed her forehead. His eyes were filled with her. Li Duobao slept until the early hours of the morning. When she opened her eyes in a daze, in the warm new room, the wall lamp was still on. The light was soft and didn't hurt her eyes. Her waist was wrapped around a pair of strong arms, and her chest was tightly pressed against a broad chest. Shinwu 799. That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.